Okay, well, it's Sunday morning now, the British Rental Kart Championship 2019 from Formula Fast here in Milton Keynes, and we've got the third round of heats. We're halfway through. We started them yesterday evening. We had 5 rounds, and this is heat number 6. Spanners, we saw some amazing racing yesterday. We are in the third round, and we're halfway through it. Heat number 6. There's going to be no shortage in the action, even though it's 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
Good morning, James. We are bright and perky. The early start hasn't dampened our spirits at all, has it? But no. What we saw at the end of last night was that round 3 is where people are starting to get fighty, emotional, and people are starting to really care. The time for action is now.
Well, it's always a tough part of the competition, the third round, because there are people who are fighting for their last sort of scrap of a chance to make it through into the semi-final, and obviously people trying to get many points as possible so they can have potentially a problem in the semi-final, or not the best semi-final, but still go through. Let's just run through the drivers in this one. We've got Gavin Williams, Bradley Shepherd, Christoph Verhoeven, Carl Stevens, Jim Lovell, Pete Lepan, Tyler Mays, Wojciech Scherb, Kieran Gallagher and Owen Burton in this one. Really, when you're looking for a win there's a variety of drivers here, but you've got to look at Bradley Shepherd, Christoph Verhoeven, and dare we say it, Owen Burton up at the front.
I mean, even if you look at Mays as well, Mays has shown himself to be in and amongst the scrap as well. So, but Verhoeven perhaps the pick. And
how could we possibly discount Wojciech Scherb?
I wouldn't
startling form. But yeah, Christoph Verhoeven always going to be rapid out there. Well, the qualifying is underway, and they're about to start scoring the times. The qualifying laps are finishing. Well, it looks like Kieran Gallagher just completing his lap. Yes, it is. 36.1. Gavin Williams has now gone fastest. And they're still coming across the line. We're getting the time to happen. Pete Lepan now fast. Owen Burton on the top step. Owen Burton at the top of the table there. Provisionally on pole position. 2 more karts coming through. One of them, of course, is Shepherd, and he goes second. So Owen Burton's still fastest. Scherber takes the pole. And Christoph Verhoeven goes second. Tyler Mays, here comes Jim Lovell, but he's 6th. So Wojciech Scherber looks like he's the fastest from Tyler Mays, Christoph Verhoeven, Owen Burton, Bradley Shepherd, Jim Lovell in 6th, Pete Lepan 7th, Gavin William 8th, Kieran Gallagher 9th, and Carl Stevens 10th. Spanners, this could be quite a race. It is very tight there. If you look, less, obviously 1 second to 7th and 9th, sorry, and Carl Stevens just 1.8 behind.
Well, if you look at the 4th place man, he's 0.13 behind, so you've got to think those 4 are looking pretty tasty for a scrap.
Absolutely, and just looking down the lineup there, it appears that several people have got different overalls. I mean, Tyler Mays is now in white. Was he not in black yesterday?
Oh, that's a good
Could
point.
Cause some confusion for us up here.
Well, maybe maybe he was evil yesterday, and now he's turned to the good side.
Well, you never know. He's popped his white hat on, perhaps. But the lineup: Wojciech Scherb, the Polish driver, he's 4 times. He's the Polish gearbox kart champion. It's his brother who's the 4 times Polish champion. He's here as well. So Wojciech Scherb is going to start on the pole. Tyler Mays, though, we've seen some good performances from him yesterday. But I think this is the highest qualifying we've seen. So maybe this is his chance to convert it into a victory in the BRKC this year.
It would be a surprise if Verhoeven wasn't pushing for the win here, though. Do you not think, James?
Oh, Verhoeven is going to be pushing for the win, no question at all. There he is in the 14. We can see him on screen. They're coming around now to take the start. It's the first start of the day. Now, traditionally, it's very cold on the track on a Sunday morning. We could probably see the lap times be down. There's going to be a lot more movement underneath the drivers in the karts. And here they come. It's Scherber leads the way. He's going to make the start. And away they go. It's Scherber from Tyler Mays and Christoph Verhoeven. They're entering the new area here. We've seen some collisions and accidents down the bottom there yesterday, but it all looks pretty clean so far.
Well, that was a brave move there by the number 21 car into turn 3, and I think he's made that stick, actually.
Yeah, 21 was Gavin Williams. He was starting in the 8th place, so it could well be that next time we get across the line, he's listed in 7th. So coming down the backstretch now, it's the opening lap of the opening race of the morning. Very cold out there on the track. A lot of slipping and sliding, so some time to be lost very easily. Round comes Wojciech Scherber. Wojciech Scherber over from Poland, followed by Tyler Mays. Tyler Mays, the top British driver in this race, in 2nd place, followed by Christoph Verhoeven. Verhoeven, Belgian expert, and he was 5th in the World Championship last year. So Verhoeven in 3rd place is actually 5th in the world as we speak.
Really? That's high.
Very high. Only 4 people better than that.
That's how that works.
So yeah. Okay, so Gerber's attempting to get away now. He's got maybe a kart and a half lead, but there's a bit of a gap building between Tyler Mays and Christoph Verhoeven. Incredibly, Tyler Mays is really taking the fight towards Gerber and maybe dropping Verhoeven in the process. If Tyler Mays can catch up with Gerber, if he can do it alone, he won't have to worry about being attacked by the world number 5.
And Burton is actually having to worry about Checkered behind him rather than looking forward at the moment. Looking at the qualifying times, you would have thought Burton would be right on the back of the top 4, but at the moment he's looking over his shoulder down the back straight at Checkered.
Absolutely, it's very true that the track this morning is going to be a lot colder and a lot slipperier. With indoor karting, it's not something you can really be throwing around. You've got to keep it neat and tidy, and it may well be that Burton's just having to be so careful about not sliding and giving time away that he's actually dropping back ever so slightly. We have seen him running right at the front yesterday. He really put up very good showings in every race he was in. So Owen Burton can't be discounted yet, although he is running 4th place at the moment and does look as though he's falling away from Christoph Verhoeven. There comes Burton in the picture now. He's just turned in the 4th place. But it's Gerber who's putting another lap in 1st place. No pit stops yet. So obviously nobody feels that they've qualified out of position, and really it's they're all probably going to be in for a bit of a long haul now before making the pit stop.
So 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning, still already a very busy gallery here at BRKC, well supported. So hello to everyone in the gallery. Make sure you come and say hello to the commentators at some point. Give us some interesting facts about the drivers you're cheering on.
Down the back stretch, there's Gerber in the lead. He's got an ever increasing lead. Now, Tyler Mays in 2nd seems to be coming under the attention a bit more of Christoph Verhoeven. Christoph Verhoeven is trying to pull away from Owen Burton, and he's closing in on Tyler Mays, the British hope in this race. While Gerber seems to be checking out, it's Tyler Mays who's 1.5 seconds down, only just in front of Verhoeven. The world number 5 is definitely closing in on the British hope there.
Isn't it amazing though when the drivers suddenly turn their attention to the kart behind, how much pace and how much time they lose around here? So I think Verhoeven now he's looking ahead at Gerb and going, oh man, Tyler Mays is now really ruining my chance, even in a pit stop, of getting that win. He's not in the pit window here.
Absolutely, and the interesting thing with that, as you say about the pits, is if Christoph Verhoeven feels that he was taking it a little bit easy by his standards in the very early stages of the race, if he feels that Tyler Mays is holding up, will we see a pit stop? Will he try and drive his way around Tyler Mays by making a pit stop and then driving faster on a clear bit of track? Here we go.
It's early,
the white
isn't it?
suit, that's Tyler Mays, and here comes Christoph Verhoeven. We can see how tight it is.
But the thing is, yeah, if Verhoeven comes in now, he comes in the pack behind the likes of Gallagher, Stevens, Williams, and if those guys don't get out of the way quickly, if say there's half a second gap on pace, he's going to find himself in a completely different train and lose touch with the top 2.
Yeah, absolutely right there, Spanners. It's going to be a little bit early for Verhoeven to be making a pit stop now. He will put himself smack bang where he doesn't want to be, arguably. He'd just have to fight his way through the field. So he's going to be sitting behind Tyler Mays. If he's going to be following somebody, he'd probably prefer to follow someone at the front rather than someone near the tail. Although it has to be said, they're not really falling away too much at this stage. The standard is quite high in this race, quite an even race, this one, as we can see, that although Gerber is pulling away at the rate of, well, he's got a 2-second lead on the moment, and he is listed as being the fastest on track. He has the fastest lap of this race so far. It is quite tight behind. It's a very, very gradual drop off. There's quite a big chunk there. We're betting on the idea of losing a very good pit stop about 10 seconds, a good pit stop 11, and a not bad being 12 and so far down the line. So yeah, all that would happen for Verhoeven is he'd move towards the back of the pack and he'd have some people to work through. Okay, so there's Bradley Shepherd that we're looking at there, one of these South Coast kind boys, and someone is in the pits. It's Owen Burton. Owen Burton comes into the pits. Startling performances yesterday by Owen Burton. He's really upped his game this year. It's looking good on the pit stop. We're seeing the light on red, the reflection there, and it's gone green. He's definitely made it clean on stops. What sort of time are we looking at? It is, well, it does look like, where's Owen Burton? Yeah, it's about a 12-second stop, that one, so it's not the fastest, but, not the end of the world either.
I'm struggling to understand what Burton was gaining from that. He wasn't being held up. He was in 4th place. Verhoeven was a little ways ahead. Sorry, 14 into the pits as well.
Yeah, it's Christoph Verhoeven, the one we were talking about,
yeah,
possibly making the pit stop to get away from Tyler Mays. He has taken that stop, and he's going to answer our questions of where he's going to come out. And the answer is it's just ahead of Carl Stevens. That's going to put himself 8th place, but he's ahead of Carl Stevens. He's got Kieran Gallagher running in front. Now, what sort of times is Kieran Gallagher pulling? Well, Christopher Verhoeven's best has been a 34.3. Kieran Gallagher's last is a 34.9. So Gallagher's running maybe just half a second off Verhoeven. So that's not going to be the end of the world in terms of lap times, I wouldn't have thought at this stage, Spanners.
Yeah, well, the problem is, yes, he might have the lap times, but what if, is it Gallagher ahead of him? What if Gallagher's not running consistently? That 2 seconds is not even 2 seconds. He closed down very quickly, and suddenly, oh, there's a big scrap there past the control as well. Trying to see who's involved in that.
Yeah.
And another one in the pits, so that's 18 in the pits.
18 is...
or it could be 16.
It's
sorry.
Carl Stevens. Carl Stevens in the pits there, the 18. A few early pit stoppers now. Obviously, Carl Stevens feels that he needed to get that pit stop out of the way. There's Bradley Shepherd. He's been chased down by Jim Lovell there. We can see Shepherd with the orange helmet. There's Lovell completely in white suit and predominantly white helmet. There's Shepherd. There's Lovell. And these two guys are...
big contact there from number 21. That's Williams making a pass on Tyler Mays. Mays has lost 2 places now. He's lost out to Lovell and he's lost out to Williams, all within the space of 1 lap.
Well, this is bad news for Tyler Mays. Now, he was, well, he'd originally qualified second. He was running second. There's Tyler Mays just about turning in now in the 11 in the white suit there. So that is Tyler Mays losing out some position. Shepherd's coming in. Shepherd's coming in. He waves his South Coast karting teammate Jim Lovell through. And Bradley Shepherd brings it into the pits. He's dropped down from 2nd place. We'll see where that puts him. He clearly believes he needs to get the pit out of the way, but he was actually leading a group there. He's come out just in front of Owen Burton. Look at this.
Oh, well, there, Burton's lost a place overall through the pit stops then to Shepherd, because Shepherd was running behind. This is what I couldn't understand. I don't know what Burton was pitting out of the way of. Perhaps he just wanted to get that pit stop done, but now he's found himself behind Shepherd.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, Spanish, because neither Burton nor Shepherd were pitting out of the way of anything at all. Obviously they felt the time was right. Another one's coming in the pits. It's the 13. That, of course, is Kieran Gallagher. So Kieran Gallagher's coming in the pits there. He's on camera as we see. That's Kieran Gallagher coming down the pit lane. We're looking for that reflection of green. He's got the thing going before it goes green. He's shaking his head, but well, I think we've seen a bit worse than that today already. Yeah, that's an 11-second stop there by Gallagher. That'll do nicely at this the way it's been looking so far.
That's good news for Verhoeven as well, because Gallagher was the car in front on track. We've got 16, I think, coming in as well. But that's
Jim Lovell. It's Jim Lovell. He's coming out in 2nd place. Here he is, Jim Lovell, South Coast karting boy. Normally associated with motorcycle racing is Jim Lovell, but he's taking to karting for this event, and out he goes. Let's see what sort of time Jim Lovell puts in there. Yeah, that was a good one by Jim Lovell. Just 10.5 seconds there by Jim Lovell. Really reading those lights well was the South Coast karting boy. Brother, of course, of George Lovell, and they mastermind that South Coast karting venue down near Bournemouth. So at the moment in 2nd place, well, it's Gavin Williams. Now Gavin Williams was 79 from the championship last year, and now he's running 2nd in a BRKC heat race, just 7.7 seconds behind Wojciech Gerber. Now
he's been very aggressive in this race, and I think I've seen him make at least 2 passes on track through the snail section into that first turn 3 hairpin. And they had the 4-man train there of Williams. Who else was in there? Lovell.
Yeah, it was Shepherd and Lovell and the rest. I mean, it was basically half the field, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's what Lovell pitted out of. So he's tried to put himself in some free air.
Absolutely, this is looking very good for Gavin Williams. He's up there in 2nd place. Well, at this stage, you'd have to say a late stop for Gavin Williams would be the ideal. He's 8.2 behind Gerber, so Gerber's almost in a position where he could actually come in the pits and still come out the lead, but this is definitely looking very good for Gavin Williams. We're looking at Owen Burton. This is building up again. We've got Jim Lovell heading a little group here involving Bradley Shepherd and Owen Burton. Now, Lovell and Shepherd are in the same team. They're going to want to pull some points away from Burton, so you can expect no favours there from Bradley Shepherd in the orange helmet. Lovell's getting away a little bit, and Shepherd's kind of fighting a bit of a rear gunner action against Owen Burton there as his teammate pulls away. It's looking very good for Jim Lovell. He's been in. Gavin Williams in the pits. Gavin Williams comes out of the pits from 2nd place. He's come right into the middle of the Lovell, Shepherd and Burton battle. Well, it looks like they've actually all 3 of them managed to get ahead, but it's going to make a 4-car battle. So as they come through that new area there. Well, we're calling it new. We've had it in for 2 rounds now. There's Gavin Williams, and he's gone right on the tail of the Lovell, Checkered and Burton battle onto the backstretch. You can see Jim Lovell at the head of that in the white suit. He turns in, got a little bit of a comfortable lead from Gallagher that we're seeing there. Oh, sorry, Checkered was seeing there. And there's Owen Burton, and then Gavin Williams. Further back is Kieran Gallagher.
So Williams has come out right behind the Burton-Checkered battle. So I think that's pretty much as it was, apart from Burton and Checkered are swamped in front of him.
Yeah, we're going to have a little look at the times of Gavin Williams. He's, well, just around their sort of pace. It could be argued that maybe he did in fact pit at exactly the wrong moment, because when he was coming out the pits he actually got done by all 3 of them. So it was a little bit of an unlucky
well, there
stop.
We go.
If he left it a bit later, he might have been better off.
Mays has got
9, it's
clear.
Pete Lepan from 3rd place. Pete Lepan pitted from 3rd place. There he is. He's heading out now. What sort of stop was that? That was a very good one. That just over 10 seconds. That was one of the better stops that we've seen by Pete Lepan there. Really getting it right.
But not quite enough to get ahead of that Checkered, Burton, Williams battle. So now he's at the back of that 4-man train, and they're going to be battling now until the checkered flag.
Absolutely. And the head of that train, of course, is Jim Lovell, and he's now up to 4th place. And then, of course, Checkered 5th, Burton 6th, Williams 7th, and Lepan 8th. They've actually all pitted and all managed to come out together, although it has to be said, looking at this now, that Jim Lovell is definitely up the pace, and he's definitely pulled away from that group. Really, you have to say, I don't think Lovell's part of that group anymore. He's pulled clear of it. So the 2-wheel man, Jim Lovell, has definitely pulled clear of that, and it is Bradley Checkered at the head of what is now his own little group. 4 carts there, the one at the tail being Pete Lepan.
So Tyler Mays now, he's out on his own. He has been sort of wrestled down the pack a little bit, but he's got an advantage that he's not in that 4-man pack. He's out on his own.
Yeah, but the worst thing he could do is pit now, because guess what will happen if he pits and comes out? He'll be smack in the middle of that Checkered, Burton and Williams gaggle. So he really could avoid being in the pits now. They are almost at the point where Gerber could come in the pits and come out in the lead. He's 9.9 seconds over Tyler Mays. There's 7 minutes remaining, just under. Here comes Bradley Checkered there, leading this group. Getting defensive there, looking down the backstretch. Owen Burton having a good look at him there.
Now, if that group is getting defensive, as you say, Tyler Mays is looking at the gap. He's 10 seconds off the lead. The gap he's looking to get into is just ahead of Checkered, who's 21 seconds off the lead. So that's a net 11 seconds at the moment that Tyler Mays has got to play with. So if these guys start tripping in over each other, and Tyler Mays has somebody on the pit wall that can say yes or no, if that gap gets out to 12 seconds, he can pop back out, and I think that is going to be a net 2nd place overall.
Already the benefit is there, because there is now about just over 11-second gap to Bradley Checkered there, yeah. And that is what... a lunge down the inside. That, of course, is Williams. It was Gavin Williams. 79th in the championship last year, and in fact I think he's been passed by Pete.
He's lost out.
Yeah, he did definitely lose out there. He gave it a shot. He was intending to gain a place in that group, though it cost him a place. Let's open things out a bit, and we'll see if Checkered and Burton can try and pull a bit of a gap on Lepan and Williams. That's what they'll intend to do. It is bad news for Mays, though, because what he doesn't really need is Bradley Checkered being able to run his own. Bradley Checkered, of course, comes with a decent CV. He was the BRKC Auld Championship winner last summer, so certainly no slouch.
I think Mays might have missed his chance, because that gap has come down from 11 to 10 seconds now from Mays to Checkered. So it's looking like Checkered's the 3rd place man overall at the moment. Okay,
well, playing virtual kart manager.
Yeah.
Are we bringing Tyler Mays in right now, this lap?
No, not now. I would have been tempted a lap or 2 ago, but now you've got to say, all right, well, we've seen Williams and Lepan tripping over each other. Oh, well,
he's brought himself in. Tyler Mays is in the pits, and what sort of stop's going to be? He's moving. Gosh, he couldn't have cut it finer. That is going to be a good stop, surely. Tyler Mays does drop down the order.
He's done it.
He's behind Lovell. He's behind Jim Lovell.
Yes, he is, but he's ahead of that group of 4 that we've been watching, so he is out ahead of Checkered and Burton, Williams and Lepan.
Absolutely, he's just ahead of them. That could have turned so bad. There is Tyler Mays. Right behind him is Bradley Checkered, and right behind him is Owen Burton. In fact, they're so close. Tyler Mays is getting defensive against Burton. This is good news for Jim Lovell, and of course Christoph Verhoeven has moved up into 2nd place now.
So with a good stop, a 10-second gap is just enough. Well, that's how it's worked out.
Well, a 10-second gap is just enough if you can do a 10-second pit stop. That's basically what it boils down to. Obviously, a 10-second pit stop involves taking some big risks on the lights. I think generally what would be nice is a 12-second gap if you can create it.
Yep.
That way, at least you have got some scope for not, being able to be a little bit careful. The one person we haven't seen in the pits yet, of course, though, is Wojciech Szczerba. That's the race leader. And talking of the 12-second gap, that's exactly what he has got over Christoph Verhoeven. So Wojciech Szczerba could potentially come in the pits now, have a reasonably conservative pit stop, and still maintain that lead with 3.5 minutes to go. And he does come in the pits. It's Wojciech Szczerba, the Polish gearbox champion. He's making his stop. He's got a 12-second lead over Christoph Verhoeven. Here comes Verhoeven. Verhoeven's coming around towards the start-finish line. It's going to be a close one. Here comes Szczerba out the pits. He's gunning that kart, and Verhoeven in the yellow helmet. There goes Verhoeven. There's a kart between them, and Verhoeven's got inside that kart now, so Verhoeven is now potentially in contact with the leader. Here comes Szczerba, white helmet. There's Verhoeven, yellow and blue. So Verhoeven almost did enough to pass Szczerba, but Szczerba could not have made that stop any earlier and got away with this, could he?
No, I have to say that's closer than I was expecting it to be. So I think Verhoeven's done some good work.
Yeah, Szczerba's stop was about 11 seconds. So that was still a good stop, and you can see him leaning out of the kart there, really trying to break the grip of that inside wheel, rear wheel, to help it turn. Lets the kart rotate. As you can see, the car wants to roll around the corner there, and here's the lead for Szczerba. Szczerba's probably done enough, but Verhoeven is the world number 5, so he's going to have his work cut out with just 2.5 minutes to go. There's Szczerba, there's Verhoeven, and that's that battle up ahead. Tyler Mays has not been able to pull away from Bradley Shepherd, so from his point of view, thank goodness he managed to come out just in front of him, because he's certainly not able to pull away.
We've missed something because Williams is now back up ahead of Le Pen as well, and Le Pen's a long way back to him. Might try and roll back the VT and see what happens.
Yeah, and definitely Williams seems to be running on his own, albeit about 4 or so car lengths ahead of Le Pen. Obviously, somebody's had a shot at somebody there, and it's not
Someone's
quite worked
had a go.
out.
Williams has been super fighty in this race so far. Very good racing.
Absolutely. So just to recap, with 1 minute 45 to go, it's Wojciech Szczerba who's leading from Christoph Verhoeven, and Jim Lovell is third. This is the highest finish we've seen for Jim Lovell. Oh gosh, yes, it was Jim Lovell putting someone a lap down. I think it was Carl Stevens, gentlemanly moving out of the way, and looked like he was going to take to the pit lane, but it was just to wave Lovell through. So there is the battle behind Lovell. It's Tyler Mays, Bradley Shepherd and Owen Burton. So Tyler Mays looks like he's able to hold off Bradley Shepherd, but with the time coming down, Shepherd's going to get increasingly aggressive for sure. There's Shepherd in the mid-pack there with the orange helmet. So Szczerba, with just 1 minute to go, still leads from Verhoeven, but it's only 0.6 of a second from Verhoeven. As they're down the back straight, that's Tyler Mays fending off Bradley Shepherd. This, of course, the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th places. And so Szczerba still leads. There's less than a minute to go, just 45 seconds now, and we're going to be bringing the flag out very soon, I'm sure. There is Wojciech Szczerba, the leader, with a white helmet, and he's under more pressure than ever from Christoph Verhoeven. Christoph Verhoeven, the world number 5, is only 0.3 of a second behind. And so Wojciech Szczerba, Christoph Verhoeven, it's very tight indeed. And is the checker coming out this time? Yes, it does, and Wojciech Szczerba is listed as the winner. Christoph Verhoeven comes in second. Jim Lovell amazingly gets that 3rd place. A great job there by Jim Lovell to take 3rd one. The South Coast karting guys from down near Bournemouth, their kart centre runs the BRKC O plate, and Szczerba sort of waving congratulations there to Verhoeven. Verhoeven really kept him honest. Jim Lovell was 3rd. Tyler Mays managed to grab that 4th place. Bradley Shepherd 5th. Owen Burton 6th. Then, of course, Gavin Williams, he was doing great. And there is Wojciech Szczerba. Wojciech Szczerba would be delighted with that win. He's the gearbox champion of Poland. And then behind him, Christoph Verhoeven is the current, or reigning, I suppose, world number 5. Okay, so Spanners will be down there catching up with some of the drivers. What a great race we saw there. Tyler Mays, enormous pressure from behind in all of them. There's Jim Lovell, you can see, with the green and white on his helmet. There's Bradley Shepherd having a word from one of the marshals, so goodness knows what that's all about. And so we'll be getting the heads up from Spanners down in the pit lane in a moment.
Pretty emotional there. Obviously, Wojciech Gerber, only Polish speaking, didn't want to come on camera with me. But a great win. Timed his pit stop absolutely perfectly to get out ahead of Verhoeven. Tyler Mays there, I think he felt from second place he was going to get a better result than that. Ended up getting really sort of strong-armed down the pits. Actually, a great pit stop and got in front of that crucial four-way battle. If I was him, I'd be very happy with that third place, considering the context of the race. But things are heating up, and you can see now it's round 3, and I can see in the driver's eyes, when they're coming in the pits after the race, it's very, very intense. But do make sure you come and speak to me if you win. I want to hear about your glory, and so does everyone else. Back up to you, James.
Okay, so what a wonderful race that was, heat number 6. A great win there by Wojciech Gerber from Christoph Verhoeven, and an incredible third place there by Jim Lovell. Really getting up to speed in that race, and a good haul of points to start his Sunday morning. That's Jim Lovell there from South Coast Karting. Right then, heat number 7 of the third round. These, of course, the final races now on the revised circuit. In this one, though, we've got a pretty star cast. We've got Rob Duma, we've got Dwayne Stoddart, Lewis Manley, and Stephen King, Paul Ozanne, Patrick Neroda in there, and Joe Llewellyn, Matt West, Matthew Parker, and Tom Eastwood are going to be bringing us something for this one. They're heading out to qualify, and the qualifying is going to begin now. The karts are leaving the pit lane. You can see here, just heading out there, that looked like it was Patrick Neroda. We saw some action from him yesterday, and there, of course, is Rob Duma. Okay then, so as they head out, we're going to start seeing what sort of lap times are going to be set in here, and obviously contenders for the pole position. You cannot look beyond the likes of Lewis Manley, Patrick Neroda. They're the most obvious ones. This is potentially a good chance for Rob Duma and also Paul Ozanne to get some serious points, but the others, such as Stephen King, Matt West, Matt Parker, Eastwood, Joe Llewellyn, they're going to be trying to do something about getting towards the front of this field. Joe Llewellyn, of course, is making his international debut today. He's very inexperienced relatively, and quite frankly learning all the way yesterday, but maybe this is going to be his morning. Okay, so they're completing their first lap. They've all completed their out lap. They're all on the qualifier now, and you're going to see the first ones coming through. Times is going to be coming through now. So Matthew Parker's fastest at the moment. He's been beaten by Paul Ozanne. Paul Ozanne, a veteran from years ago. Joe Llewellyn comes through in 4th. It's Patrick Neroda who's fastest at the moment. Neroda by half a second. Patrick Neroda is looking very good indeed. Dwayne Stoddart up there in 4th place. Rob Duma into 2nd. Lewis Manley into 2nd. Stephen King into 3rd. And Matt West into 3rd. So my goodness here, Spanners. Patrick Neroda's on the pole. Lewis Manley 2nd. We accept all of that, but what about Matthew West? He was 75th last year in the championship.
Together these heats results, and then he ends up with a sort of insurmountable lead. You keep scoring points in the semis, don't you? So
you do.
I think he's got momentum.
Well, Lewis Manley obviously will want to win 3. That does give him an awful lot of points. There is Lewis Manley in the red suit on the screen, and by scoring lots of points, it does make his semi-final a little bit easier from a view of getting through to the final. He's not going to be the only one to get 3 wins though, because Ruben Boutins has done that already, and however, Patrick Neroda is definitely going to want to be at the front of this race. He, of course, is at fastest, Neroda, but he's got Lewis Manley right behind him. And what can we say about that? That's going to be quite a tough scrap, I think.
I am looking forward to this. And the thing is, you know that Manley will have a go.
Oh, definitely. It's Lewis Manley. He's going to have a go, that's for sure. As we come around now, we've got Patrick Neroda, who's going to bring them to the start. Now, Neroda is going to make a good start to this, but he's going to want to be clear of Lewis Manley. He's keeping it really slow, almost too slow. He's accelerating away. He doesn't want any gaps in the pack, or they'll call a false start. No, it is green. The start is good, and Neroda has got exactly the start he needed. He's got more than a car length between him and Manley, because Manley is going to go on attack immediately if he can. He's not just going to sit there in second. That's not really Lewis Manley's way. There he is in the red suit in second place. They go through. Patrick Neroda, of course, in the black suit. He was 14th last year, so he just missed out on the final, did Naroda, but he is a driver of international standing and one of the best here.
Now, Naroda let out a really, really slow parade lap to the point that there was drivers stopped on that final quarter. Stoddart got hit up the back by Llewellyn, and then by the time they actually did get going, they'd strung out quite a long way before the checkered flag.
Absolutely, well, before the start line, yeah.
Sorry,
Absolutely.
yeah. The checkered line.
Well, Naroda will be hoping they're strung out by the checkered flag, that's for sure. But it was the slowest start that we've seen that anyone's actually managed to get a green light on, because as you point out, when the pole man is very slow, the ones at the back are practically stopped. It does create gaps, and the organisers, they've already called a few bad starts. So Naroda just about got away with that, but he did need to try and make it slow so that he could accelerate and outfox Manley, create a little bit of a gap on their opening lap, because Manley was clearly going to have a punt down the inside on that hairpin in the distance.
And if any of the drivers are listening, if you win your race, do come and have a chat with me. No one wanted to talk to me on that last race. It reminded me of school, and I felt very sad.
Spanners, you've got to go and grab them. All they want to do is get up there and get some of this Formula Fast pizza.
They said no.
Make them
talk.
talk.
Speaking to you, Spanners, it's too early.
Make them talk.
Make them talk. That went sinister quickly. Okay.
Exactly. Just grab them and make them speak. Shove the microphone in there. That's the way to do it. Talking of shoving things in there, Lewis Manley is now really pressuring second place, 0.3 of a second. And what do you say about that, Spanners?
Yeah, it's looking tough for Naroda at the moment. He doesn't want to get backed up. He doesn't want to let King into that battle, that's for sure. Maybe the two of them have come to that finger-wagging agreement where they just get out there and make a lead up front.
Well, so far we've seen in this tournament that Patrick Naroda, if anyone was going to be making any kind of agreement with him, he's going to be the first one to break it. And I'm not sure Lewis Manley works on agreements. He's very much a one-driver outfit, is Lewis Manley, and he's racing with the Formula Fast Locals team. But I think from his point of view, it's more he's scoring points for the Formula Fast Locals team. I'm not sure there's any sort of teamwork involved there. But he is keeping Naroda under immense pressure there. And Naroda, of course, will be respecting Lewis Manley as a major contender. Naroda is an international driver. Lewis Manley only races here, but such is Lewis Manley's performances and results over the years that at the BRKC, Lewis Manley is clearly regarded by everyone as a danger man. Now,
Ozan has come in. He was behind this three-way battle between West, Duma and Ozan, and I did wonder if one of them was going to want to pop out, because Duma is being quite aggressive at the back of West there. I think Ozan's probably made a smart move. He's gone, those two are going to be slowing each other up. He's going to get out of the way, and he's come out nicely on his own. It's going to be a long time before he gets up to the back of Stoddart and Llewellyn, so he's got some clear air.
Absolutely. Paul Ozan, of course, very interesting driver. He was one of the best of British 30 years ago, and Paul Ozan really was a star. Yeah, well, he's about my age. And into the pits, it's Rob Duma. Rob Duma's into the pits. One of the Polish hopes there. He was a former speedway rider, been taken to karting. He has won at BRKC level, and Rob Duma exits the pits there. Let's have a look and see what sort of lap time.
Well, he's out ahead of Ozan. I think that was what he was trying to cover off, and now there's a gap between them where West would have been sitting, I think.
Yeah, it's a 2.5 second gap between Duma and Ozan as they cross the line. That may have come down because Duma would have still been speeding up.
Right, so West was ahead of both of those two. So
yeah, and obviously if you were West, you probably wouldn't bother pitting for a while yet, would you? So there's no reason for Matt West to really come into the pits. There's no one in front of him, no one behind him.
Now then, Stoddart has got himself a little bit of a battle as well. He's managed to stay quite close to Parker. Parker's not getting away, so we'll watch that one develop. And in fact, Stoddart's had a great series of turns through the slow section and might be challenging him down the back straight.
Yeah, Dwayne Stoddart's really come alive in the sort of later recent heat races of this tournament. The last couple of years he's been running pretty much at the back, it has to be said. He's finished in the 90th places overall out of 100. He's finished in the 80th places overall out of 100. This time he said his target was to be in the 70th place, and he's doing the kind of performances and getting the kind of points that could well put him in the 70s, may even exceed his own expectations and be up there in the 60s in terms of positions. Now, there's people saying, oh yeah, well who cares about 60th out of 100? We are talking the British Rental Kart Championship, and it has to be said with the BRKC, everybody is a very competitive driver. You take anyone, even someone running last, put them out amongst a bunch of regular people on a regular, individual kart circuit, they're going to shine. It's just here we're talking about some of the world's best.
Now then, see, I put myself as somebody who would maybe win at a stag do or at the work office karting outing, which I often have done. And I've gone out on track with these guys. Last year as well, they put me out in one of the practice sessions, and you know, I'm a good second and a half off even the back of the kids. And I don't think I'm slow, but clearly compared to this lot, I am.
It's deceptively tough. That's the thing there, Spanish. You're dealing with, sometimes we haven't even heard of people, and yet we look at their CV. They're running 9, 10, and they're the champion of this, champion of that, and it just goes on. So you're probably doing well to be that close to him, mate.
Stoddart has come in. He's decided he's had enough of.
Yeah, Dwayne Stoddart's come in the pits now, so that pulled him out of 7th. He's dropped behind Aduma and Ozan. In fact, 3 seconds behind Ozan, so he's not really in contention with him. It's dropped him to 9th, but there are some more pit stops to come from those ahead. Looking up now, we can see that we've still got Naroda in the lead. He's 0.4 of a second ahead of Manley. But look at that. Stephen King, is up to 3rd place. Now, King was not somebody that we'd really looked that closely at until about a year ago. And incredibly, in the summer, he came 3rd in the BRKC O Plate down at South Coast Karting in Bournemouth. So really moving forward there, and it's shown this
big battle on the exit. Has Stoddart managed to get ahead of Parker? He's managed to jump Parker in the pits. So he's read that completely right. He said, no, I'm a little faster than Parker. He's managed to do him in the pit stops, and now he is up to, I think, a net 7th.
Yeah, and Dwayne Stoddart, his personal ambitions of sort of being 10 places higher, shall we say, in the championship this year to what he's been before, well, that's come to fruition. He's doing all the right things. He's making all the right moves in order to achieve that particular ambition. There is Naroda, whose ambition is to actually win the championship, and Patrick Naroda, his ambitions are looking good for that kind of thing by leading the race and possibly winning. Lewis Manley, though, to keep me honest. Now, if you're managing to stay ahead of Lewis Manley, it has to be said that you must be doing a pretty good job, right?
And it's not bumper to bumper at the moment. Naroda's not having to go defensive down the back straight. He's still running his own laps, and they're disappearing away from King. That gap was 3 something not so long ago. Now it's 4.4. See how I'm using the wheel timings and not Mississippi's? I'm pandering to you. But at the moment, Lewis Manley, he's not sticking his nose in. He's not forcing Naroda to do anything different. They seem quite content to break away that gap. But if you're Lewis Manley and you've had a 1st place and a 1st place, 2nd place is not a disaster. He doesn't have to make a risky move. He doesn't have to risk a penalty. He can go back to round 4 pretty content, even if he comes in 2nd.
Absolutely. Well, it's looking good here because we've now got Spanners in the 21st century. We've got Naroda in the lead and Lewis Manley in 2nd place. And as you rightly point out, Manley, 2nd place for him would be great from a points point of view. Lewis Manley, though, is he's quite particular about his results, and unless it's 1st place and a good 1st place, he tends to turn a little bit self-critical. He's going to be looking at Naroda and thinking in terms of where he can pass him. Lewis Manley, when he first started in the BRKC, he was, he's a local man, he's from here in Milton Keynes. And Lewis Manley, when he first started, wasn't brilliant technically, or strategically, should we say, and was really relying on just out-and-out speed around this track to get the job done. But he has really come of age from a strategic point of view. Now, he's going to have to get past this back marker here. Yes, he makes the move. He's got it done cleanly as well. So Lewis Manley managed to stay with Naroda. The gap's still 0.3 of a second.
Well, actually, it was more than stay with, because Naroda had to sacrifice his line going into the turn at the end of the back straight, whereas Manley was able to take his normal racing line. One thing here with the back markers, the blue flags are respected nearly universally. A lot of respect amongst the drivers all the way up and down the field.
Absolutely, and it does also show in the standard that there are almost no accidents.
Absolutely.
When you think of an indoor kart track, the marshals constantly pulling people out of the barrier,
yes,
aren't they?
Yes,
and here at BRKC, the standard is so high that almost, when someone just touches the wall, we talk as if they've torn 4 wheels off, don't we?
Yeah, especially when people are taking chunks out of the apexes in the corners. That's about as far as we've got. In fact, wasn't it yesterday with the young Dutchman Pamelin, and when he hit the barrier on the exit of turn 3, that was quite the event. That was quite a notable thing.
And it was actually quite notable.
It was a big chunk.
In his battle with Matt Barsh, Van Pamelin ended up basically being stuffed head on into one of the pillars. He still managed to come through a win somehow, but I think being shoved head on into one of the pillars probably makes that win even more unlikely, doesn't it?
Best BRKC Facebook comment from yesterday was Bradley Philpott saying, I didn't have a great day, but Matt Barsh also had a bad day, so I guess that's okay.
Oh, that's savage, isn't it? Well, Phil Pott, of course, can get away with saying anything like that because, of course, he is the organiser. Start saying that the other way round, and you may find your entry is delayed, shall we say? Your entry may be delayed.
Point. Yeah, and we have to say he's got perfect pit stops, or we won't get this gig next year.
Well, absolutely. I think he's been doing a great job, don't you?
Amazing performance from Phil Pott.
Yes. Actually, in real terms, his final race yesterday was an amazing performance when he came back up from 10th into that 5th place, wasn't it? You know, swapped carts as well, so really on the back foot. What we're looking at now, though, on screen, an incredible battle and really heating up now. Oh, and look at Ozan. It's Ozan on Rob Duma. So Rob Duma, the Polish driver, trying to stay ahead of Ozan. Both of these guys, absolute vast experience in motorsport. Rob Duma, former Speedway rider, and if you're in Poland and you're a Speedway rider and you're racing for your city's team, that's a pretty good level of being a Speedway rider. They really do their Speedway over there.
Is that the one where it's bikes, which are insane
bikes on
anyway,
dirt?
And then you do it just not even on the road or anything?
Well, they do it on dirt, and it's a dirt oval. It's also, remember, those bikes, they don't have brakes.
I can think of better ways
They have
to
a
spend
clutch
my
and no
day.
brakes. So Rob Duma has spent many years racing at high level on a motorcycle with no brakes, and he's staying ahead of Paul Ozan, who has vast karting experience.
I'm judging him, frankly. That is a poor hobby choice.
A poor hobby choice.
Jigsaws would be better.
Well, at least with the karting, he's now got a brake, at least. If it is only to the rear wheel.
And the correct amount of wheels on the ground.
And the correct amount of wheels. He is in 5th place there. That's Duma in the red, and Ozan behind him is in the white. In the pits it's King.
Yeah, I don't think King is going to come out in any kind of traffic. He was also running around on his own, so this is a case.
King is like talking to the lights there, isn't he?
I know, he's going, come on, lights, change. He definitely went too early and had to stop again, but I think that was more a case of getting out of the way. But actually, he's a lot closer to Duma and Ozan than he'd have wanted to be, so he can't afford to slip up or lose concentration.
No, it was an 11.5-second stop, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that, really, in the scheme of things. But we have been seeing some increasingly fast stops. So, obviously, Stephen King, he's done enough, though, to stay ahead of the Duma-Ozan battle, because that's not really something you'd want to be part of. Now, Matt West, I don't believe he stopped, has he?
Now, who is it you said was about your age? Ozan?
Ozan.
Is he the oldest driver here? And what is your age?
Well, my age is 48, and Ozan, I don't know exactly. Well, no, I'm glad about that. And into the pits comes Manley. Into the pits comes Lewis Manley, the 2nd place driver.
Yep, he seems to have timed that all right as well, so he's coming up to the 2nd set of lights now. He's left himself a bit of room to judge it. It looks like he's nailed that. Not the cleanest getaway, maybe got slightly bogged down. And now we see if Naroda fancies himself on lap times. I reckon, I don't know, I'm going to fancy Manley if this goes on for any length of time without Naroda coming in.
Well, he's really thrown down the gauntlet to Patrick Naroda there. It was just about 10.2 seconds on the pit stop. So an amazing stop by Lewis Manley. He's done everything he needs to force Naroda, and Naroda's in the pits.
Yeah.
What's Naroda's response going to be? He's trying to cut those lights. He's got away with it. You can see the reflection of the green. Oh, this is tight. That was very good. What a pit stop there. Surely Patrick Naroda. Oh, that was amazing. Bang on 10 seconds that Patrick Naroda amazingly has made a faster pit stop than Lewis Manley, and it shows in the times. He's got he had a 1 second lead across the line because he had no momentum. Lewis Manley's back where he was, which is right behind Patrick Naroda. That couldn't have been cut finer, Spanners, that really couldn't.
Now, looking at Manley's stop, he looked like he did everything right, but for whatever reason, he looked bogged down on the exit, and he just didn't seem to get picked up and get away cleanly, whereas everything went right for Naroda's stuff.
Yeah, I think what happened there as well, a lot of it, as you say, was visual about what he looked like.
Yeah.
And I think that was because Naroda, in that sort of stop box, shall we say, there are 2 stop boxes, Naroda's actually stopping slightly earlier than Manley, so he's got a little bit more momentum. If you notice, Naroda was clearly moving way before the green. I know Manley was, but Naroda was like properly underway, and we're still seeing the red light showing, and then it's going green. So it's a risky move by Naroda, but you get it right and you get that kind of pit stop that keeps you in the lead ahead of Lewis Manley. Now, there are 5 minutes to go. Lewis Manley, if he wants to win this race, is going to have to do something about Naroda on track. Pit stops no longer an option. Of course, we've just seen them pit. So where would it be for Manley? And do you reckon he might even have to sit behind Naroda? He's got 2 wins in the bag already. Lewis Manley's going to want to make it 3. It will make his semi-final ever easier. but if he can do it, he'll try.
If you look on the screen now, the kart language of the two drivers has changed from before the pit stop. Because before the pit stop, Manley's thinking he can do something in the pits. Now that option is no longer there. He's a lot closer to the bumper. And Naroda was having to go defensive down the back straight. So that's the difference now. Now we are looking at a driver who wants to get past.
And it's a real sign of the class of these drivers that Patrick Naroda can be defensive and still be setting time. But fastest one on the track at the moment is Lewis Manley, and Lewis Manley's closer than ever. Naroda to the left, Manley to the right. They turn in, Naroda's got the inside, but will Manley manage to cut back under him? We're looking at Duma and Ozan, but Manley has not managed to make it stick. He is behind Naroda, but definitely has got Naroda rattled. Naroda is having to go defensive. It doesn't matter about them losing time, but you can see Naroda is to the inside on nearly every corner. He's really worried about Manley taking a punt at him. Of course, he'll only know Lewis Manley from racing here, and that means he knows Lewis Manley knows this track like the back of his hand.
It's definitely coming. I can't see it not coming.
Well, this time they've taken a normal line down the backstretch. Naroda not expecting anything from Manley there. Manley's close than ever, 0.2 of a second across the line last time. It's going to be the same this time. Naroda having a quick glance over his shoulder to see where Manley is or isn't, and Naroda does look like he's got this one covered. It's hard to see where a move from Manley could come. Manley sort of had a little look in all the logical places. Naroda's not going to give anything away, and the question is Manley just going to go for the outrageous lunge, or is he going to settle for second?
Well, can Manley do enough to force Naroda to make a mistake somewhere?
No, I don't think so. I don't think Naroda can be forced into a mistake mentally. He's very strong, he's very experienced and very good. So I don't think Manley will be able to actually pressure Patrick Naroda into some kind of error. But he may end up tapping him. Who's the 11? It's Matt West. That's the stop we've been looking for, because this is what Stephen King's waiting for. Stephen King may move up to third place. Matt West, this is a great showing by him. And he's dropped down behind the Duma and Ozan battle. Matt West has dropped back to fourth. He could have done with some faster laps going into that pit stop, but he's come out just behind the Duma and Ozan battle. That could make it a three-way fight for position, which is fourth.
Yeah, I don't think West ever quite had the window to do it in the end. So in the end, I think it's a case of, well, you have to make the pit stop eventually.
Yeah, we've only got 2 and a bit minutes remaining. So yeah, I think you're right there, Spanners. West, he was trying his very best to create a gap and just couldn't do it. Well, actually, he's actually away from the battles of Duma and Ozan anyway.
One last roll of the dice. Can Matthew Parker make a nuisance of himself here? I doubt it, because people are very good with the blue flags, but that's the last obstacle in Naroda's way now.
Yeah, and Matt Parker, he's already waved them through, actually. He's waved them both through. He's seen them both. And gosh, he almost comes to start. That's the most gentlemanly bit of driving we've seen from any one of the back markers. Parker, he's running fast, but he has just waved them through so as not to get involved in the lead fight. It's neither gained nor cost anything for either of the two leaders there. And there's Parker going through behind them. So there's the lead in Naroda. There is Lewis Manley. We'll probably see the back of Parker down the front backstretch there. There's Parker just looking over his shoulder. And it's still Naroda with 1 minute 20 to go. Naroda in the lead from Lewis Manley. I think that Naroda's got this one in the bag, although that's a hard thing to say when Lewis Manley is 0.3 of a second behind you. Lewis Manley has got barely a lap or so to go now. What is he going to do about Patrick Naroda? I think he's exhausted all options. I think Lewis Manley is going to be forced into second place. It's a very strong second place, but Patrick Naroda really, really tough up at the front. He's looking over his shoulder. He's holding that middle line there so that he's ready to cover anything that Lewis Manley throws to him. That's that long backstretch. Long backstretch. We've seen some big lunges. Lewis Manley, whoa, had a look towards the inside in the final hairpin, so Lewis Manley's not giving up. Lewis Manley has now been confirmed in second. They've thrown the checker with just over half a minute to go. Lewis Manley has been held to second. Patrick Naroda wins. Lewis Manley second. And Stephen King is third, so Stephen King, a great showing by him. Rob Duma is going to be fourth. Yes, he was. It was across the line, almost side by side with Paul Ozan in their battle over fourth. West has come through in sixth place. Dwayne Stunnart, an excellent, is that seventh or eighth? I think it is actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Seventh. Dwayne Stunnart is seventh. Parker eighth and Llewellyn in ninth. So Dwayne Stoddart's got the kind of points he needs, but what a win there by Patrick Naroda. Naroda is coming to a halt there at the front. There's the number 8, that's Parker. He was a lap down. There's Stephen King in the 13 with the purple helmet. So Naroda getting out of the car up at the front. There's Lewis Manley in the red suit. Lewis Manley, he did everything he could do to get second. There won't be much more. There's Spanners down in the pits, and so Spanners is talking to Patrick Naroda, and we're going to be going over to Spanners in the pits in 1 second.
Yeah? Am I live? Oh, hello. I didn't realise I was live. I'm here with race winner Patrick Naroda. Easy. Were you ever worried?
Yeah, a little bit. Lewis was very fast, but I've got a little bit better kart, so I've got very good qualification lap, so I beat him.
Obviously, I think in the first phase, before the pit stops, he was quite happy to sit behind you, but you did a cracking stop.
I want to go very slow because I know that it's very hard to be quiet, I don't know, and start very fast then.
Wanted to make sure you got a nice solid stop in. Very good race win. Congratulations. Well done. Not an easy task to keep this man behind you. Good handshake there. Lewis, only second place, but I have to say, you were right on his tail. Disappointing not to make that pit stop work.
Wanted to try the undercut. I just wanted to see if it worked or not, but I gathered, I just knew he would come in straight away. So, but obviously down the straight in my quali lap, I had a bit of oversteering, which cost me the pole lap. So, nothing I could do to win because I knew he would just defend. But after the alternate layer back onto the normal, he was just pulling away. I just couldn't keep up. Through the corners, I was gaining really good. So I wanted to, after when I tried the undercut, when the others came in, I thought, because it can happen, but obviously not on this occasion. So. Not too disappointed with second. I've still got good points, so I've got nothing to worry about. So.
Looked like you were a little bogged down on the exit of the pit stop. Did you feel that?
Well, I just wanted to make sure it all went green, so I just wanted to be fractionally more circumspect than Friday, because that's when you can do as quick as you can, because I can try and do my pit stops to perfection, so got nothing to worry about. Still on 29 points, so I'm still in a very good position, so I'm looking forward to my next race.
Lewis Manley, local favourite. Congratulations, mate. Good luck in round 4. Can anyone stop him? A first place, and a second place, looking real strong for Lewis Manley.
Okay, so an incredible result there by Patrick Naroda. Patrick Naroda defeating Lewis Manley, who usually is one of those that we look at as the great British hope. There are quite a few great British hopes here, and this year's a particularly strong year for the British drivers. Basically, Lewis Manley was held into position, second place. He had no answer for Patrick Naroda, and that is saying something when you're holding Lewis Manley to second place around Formula Fast here at Milton Keynes. So, Lewis Manley there into second place. Stephen King, the driver who came third in the BRKC O plate down at South Coast Karting last year. Stephen King, a great performance by him, the Rickmansworth-based driver. He has come through into third place. Now we're looking ahead to the next heat race. Now this is going to be a very interesting one. There's actually only one non-British driver in this, and it's going to be very interesting to see what result we get, because the drivers, if I read out the entry list here, we've got Ryan Smith, we've got Dan Grocott, we've got Fergal Ludlow, we've got Kyle Power, Simon Cleaver, Jack Bebbington, Aaron Pullen, Andy Meulemeister, the Belgian, one of the Mad Brothers race team drivers, Connor Marsh and Brandon Williams in this race. Now, we saw an amazing performance by Connor Marsh yesterday. He basically won a race driving away from the field. Matti Vrana was forced into a second place that was so far back that Conor Marsh came into the pits and came out still in the lead, and you know, that was Matti Vrana who's up against. So Conor Marsh maybe would be the favourite for this race. However, he's going to be up against Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith, all the way down from Scotland, as always, never misses a British Rental Kart Championship event, does Ryan Smith, one of the competitors over all of the years it's been taking place. Ryan Smith's best result in the championship has been 5th overall, so Ryan Smith is certainly no slouch. We'll be seeing him in action. In fact, he's crossing the line now. Ryan Smith, the young Scotsman, and certainly he's going to be the one taking the fight to what I would say would be race favourite Conor Marsh. Conor Marsh based purely on yesterday's performance, but also we've got Brandon Williams. Now Brandon Williams actually won a race as well yesterday, so Brandon Williams out there, not somebody we've really talked about much in the past, but really coming alive this year. So Conor Marsh is going to set the first time. That's going to be a benchmark time, 33.9. Now can it be beaten? Who's coming through? Grocott, Cleaver, they're all second, third. Ryan Smith has taken pole. He's faster than Conor Marsh, so Ryan Smith at the moment is fastest. Mühlmeister comes through third, Pullen fourth. Bevington is down in 8th place. We've got Carl Power and Brandon Williams to come through. Power is third, and what's Brandon Williams going to do? Race winner yesterday. Can Brandon Williams do it? Can he go fastest? He's second. Brandon Williams goes second, so Ryan Smith is going to be leading at the start. Now this is a great opportunity for the Scots driver here, Spanners. Well, Conor Marsh going into it, you'd have said, as a potential winner. He won yesterday. Brandon Williams won yesterday. Brandon Williams, an excellent win.
Would it be unkind to say that this heat is a good opportunity for some of the guys who aren't the big heavy hitters to pick up a heat win? It's a better opportunity, not so much a heat win, because when you consider Williams has won against whatever opposition you can name, and Conor Marsh, I mean, when he beat Matti Vrana, it was by a pit stop distance. So we're talking about heavy hitters, but further down the order, if you look at, I mean, this again, without meaning to be unkind, you're talking Andy Mühlmeister, Pullen, Grocott, Ludlow, Cleaver, Bevington. They are fairly even there, really, and it's their golden opportunity to get a decent point score. So where in other races they may be 5th, 6th, 7th, this is a good chance to be 3rd, 4th, 5th, basically. So what you're saying is right, but I don't think it'll be for the win. I'll be cheering on Missed Apex Podcast's Carl Power, although I will point out that that is definitely a made-up name.
We're always gonna cheer on Carl Power, isn't he? You know, aren't we? You know, he's a regular here. We always like seeing Carl Power in action. To be honest with you,
even though he looks like he smells, he's actually quite fragrant.
Well, Andy Mühlmeister is going to tell you all about that because he's going to be following Kyle Power. So whatever whatever Old Spice version Kyle Power's wearing this morning, Mühlmeister's going to have a face of it right now as we come around to the start. So here comes Ryan Smith. He's on the pole position. He's going to try and make a good start. He's got Williams and Conor Marsh behind him. He knows this is dangerous. Now, Ryan Smith is actually capable of winning this race. He's perfectly capable of driving away from these guys and winning it. But Brandon Williams has won and Conor Marsh has won against opposition, which is a genuine test of their ability. So, you know, Ryan Smith is not going to have this easy. He knows this is a dangerous heat. This is the kind of heat that could put him into the semi-final. But it's also the kind of heat that could put him out of the semi-final should it go wrong. This is Ryan Smith. This is definitely what you would call a crunch heat for the Scotsman, who is doing everything he needs to now, which is leading from the front. He's crossing the line, still in the lead. There's Ryan Smith with the red suit there and the white helmet, but it is Brandon Williams behind him, and it is Conor Marsh in third place there. Although Smith is putting in a pretty good pace because Conor Marsh is almost a second down as they cross the line. At
some good social media posts, Carl Power did actually post at the beginning of the weekend that he was looking forward to this weekend because it's a great opportunity to be beaten by some of the best indoor karters in the world. And I think he accepts that, and he just likes being in the mix.
Well, even better than that, Spanners, last night Kyle Power said that we were doing a good job in the commentary.
Did he?
Yeah. So, do you know what? I think he's doing great there in fourth, don't you?
Yeah.
What a showing by Kyle Power. An amazing performance by the Cambridge driver. He has an
amazing pit stop as well.
Actually, he hasn't done it yet, but it's going to be amazing.
Kyle Power also features as a karting subject matter expert on BBC Radio Cambridgeshire. There you go.
That's good, considering he's from Cambridge. That's it was BBC Radio
That
called.
wouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah, but Kyle Power is fourth. That's the driver we're talking about. He's fourth at the moment. He's falling a bit away from these leaders, and it has to be said that Conor Marsh is starting to make a bit of a move. He's halved the distance between himself and the race leader, and that means he's closed right up on second place Brandon Williams. Now, Brandon Williams was trying to take the fight to Ryan Smith, but I think Conor Marsh is simply running out of patience with Williams in front of him, and I think Conor Marsh is going to try and take the fight to Williams and take the fight to Ryan Smith himself.
Poulan is doing a little bit of a harassing job on Müllermeister as well. That's doing Power some favour to help him stay in fourth place. But yeah, you can see Marsh is going to lose patience at some point here, and you've got to think that Smith is looking behind and thinking, oh, if I can just hold Williams up a little bit and let Marsh do me a favour.
Absolutely. The best thing for Ryan Smith now would be a bungled overtaking manoeuvre by Conor Marsh, wouldn't it? If Conor Marsh can do something to cost himself and Williams time, which I don't think he'll do, he's just not that sort of driver. Conor Marsh is the sort of person who's going to do it neat, tidy and right, but in fact he's dropped a little bit away. I think Conor Marsh may be the one to make that early pit stop.
But Smith is also happy to go defensive, and you're absolutely right.
He's come
Marsh
straight in the
has come
pits.
in, yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. There's Conor Marsh. You could see that who's that behind? It's the 8, Grocott. Grocott's coming right behind Marsh. It's not costing, both of them making decent stops. To see what the time is, you can see they're really trying to cut those lights as far as possible. Conor Marsh is an 11-second stop for Conor Marsh, so it's not too bad at all. Grocott, out of a matter of interest, a little bit further off on that one, a 12.5 second
so
stop.
Grocott has got himself out of the power train, and he's hoping to have some clear air.
That's a real good piece of wording there. Spanner's actually punching the air with that one, and here in the commentary box. But someone who will be mentally punching the air will be Ryan Smith. However, this is where it gets particularly dangerous because, from a Ryan Smith point of view, because Ryan Smith, he may be aware that Conor Marsh has pitted. He also may be aware that Conor Marsh is running faster, so Ryan Smith has to be very quick now.
I think Williams probably needs to cover off Marsh now in the pits. That's his tactical move, and not sit here and make Smith go defensive and lose time to Marsh.
Yeah, I mean, it's all going to be a question of who is Brandon Williams considering most, or Ryan Smith considering most. If Brandon Williams is considering Ryan Smith as being the riskiest driver, he's going to try and just stay out there with him. If he considers Conor Marsh the riskiest driver, as you say, he's going to have to cover it. Yeah, Bebbington in the pits. That's Jack Bebbington into the pits. He's a front runner in the Kart Sport Championship.
He's got Sonic the Hedgehog race suit. He's one of my favourites now.
There you go. You've got a lot of favourites, Spanners.
I don't like to be neutral. It's too much work.
When the entire field is your favourite, that's well on its way to back by default.
I've
to
definitely
neutral,
got some I hate, for sure. I can name and shame them. I'll make a list.
Okay, well, is Ryan Smith on that, because he's leading the way, 8 laps in, 15 minutes in, and he's got Brandon Williams seriously keeping him honest in that. Their lap times are good. The fastest on the track at the moment listed is Brandon Williams, 33.5, but Ryan Smith is also doing 33.5, and Conor Marsh is 33.5 as best, but only a 33.6 on that previous lap.
Interesting. So, yeah, well, this is where you want a bit of team radio to tell those guys, hey, Marsh isn't good.
Whoa, contact! We've gone over to look at, I think it's Simon Cleaver. Simon Cleaver's in the pits, but big contact there. Ryan Smith continues with the lead, but a proper lunge as Simon Cleaver leaves the pit lane. And there was a big moment there. There they are side by side now. What will that do from the gap reference Conor Marsh to Ryan Smith?
Good point, yes.
It's 12.6 seconds last time, but now they're going to cross the line. We're going to see a big difference potentially. So it's 12.6 last time they crossed the line to Conor Marsh. The two leaders are through, so we're waiting for Conor Marsh to come through. Conor Marsh is coming towards the line now. I'll keep a check on that. We're watching the leaders through, but I'm going to keep an eye on what it's gone down. My goodness, from 12.6 to 11.1. What that bundled attempt there means, now it's not safe for either of these two guys to pit and come out ahead of Conor Marsh.
Oh, and this is why I think I was urging Williams to come in. I mean, yes, lap by lap they weren't losing time, but there you go. He's trying to make the move. Yeah.
No, he's not. Well, do you know what? That bundled passing move there could well have cost either of these two the race win, because they were running enough of a gap.
Oh, big move there by number 19.
Oh.
Marsh trying to get through Ludlow. Now, Ludlow's ahead on track fairly, but Ludlow's not made a stop yet. and I'm trying to see if he's made that stick. No, he hasn't, but a big move into the final hairpin.
Now that's a real problem for Conor Marsh, because that has just undone the advantage again. So Conor Marsh 11.6 across the line, but I think it's going to see worse. We've got Conor Marsh following the other driver down the backstretch. It is the 21, it is Ludlow, so Ludlow is ahead of Marsh, despite what the caption says that was last time through. Oh no, Conor Marsh has made the move at the end.
21
Ludlow comes in the pits. That's Fergal Ludlow.
Yeah, so Ludlow's now gone out of the way. Do you think that's just, a big hit there from Marsh, and Ludlow's gone, actually, this is not my fight. I'm just going to get out of the way.
Yeah, I think he's come into the pits, and he's now heading out on his own, so we'll see what he can do from there. Now, Marsh, the gap has gone back up to 12.7, so we had that bungled move for the lead from Williams, but a bungled passing manoeuvre by Marsh has reset the time distance. So a bit of a get out of jail for Smith and Williams, all thanks really to their new friend Fergal Ludlow.
The power train's heating up. Carl Power leading Mühlemeister and Pullen at the moment, and Mühlemeister getting a lot closer now, so looking out to see if any move comes out of that. At the moment, Power's not having to go defensive, but I think that Mühlemeister and Pullen could probably both be going a bit quicker, so looking out for pit stops from either of those two. And no, it's Power. It's Power who pits from the lead of that pack. Interesting. It would be interesting to find out what his thinking was.
Kyle Power pits out of third place. Here he is. This is Kyle Power, the Cambridge driver. Oh, he cut that one really nice, hasn't he? He was well underway by the time that went green. But Conor Marsh has passed him. Conor Marsh has passed him.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so he remains in net 4.
Yeah.
I think he risks falling behind Mühlemeister and Pullen now on once they pit.
Now Simon Cleaver has just been put a lap down by the leaders. He got out of the way as soon as he saw the blue flags. He did a great job there, did Simon Cleaver, but he was running ahead of them through the twisty bits, and he can't disappear. So it could well be that to the benefit of Conor Marsh, we'll wait for him to come across the line. Conor Marsh, yes, it's gained Conor Marsh about half a second there. So Conor Marsh still on 12.3. That does mean that Smith and Williams, with a half-decent pit stop, would come out ahead of Conor Marsh. So Conor Marsh now clear on his own. He's listed as 5th place. There are some people to make pit stops ahead of him.
Big
move up the inside. And Brandon Williams, is that going to be bad pass? They're side by side. This is costing them time, He's letting Ryan Smith through. He feels that the organisers would have given him the bad pass flag for that one. Yeah. A bit of a lunge and a bit of a slam. Well, it's interesting though, because we've seen some fairly robust overtaking moves being penalised and others not.
I think the organisers have been very good, James. I don't back up that sentiment.
I'm not criticising the organisers at all. What it is that there's, from Brandon Williams' point of view, he's got to judge what he's going to get in trouble for. But the race leader in the pits, Ryan Smith.
I think Smith actually has made a smart move, because Williams has been quite aggressive, and behind him as well he's got number 11 Pullen, who's going to try and get ahead of Kyle Power. Actually, that's the one to watch at the moment. Power does do enough, I think, to get ahead and stay ahead of Pullen. But from Smith's point of view, yeah, Williams was getting really punchy. That was more than a bit of a lunge. That was
Yeah, but crucially, Ryan Smith has come out just in front of Conor Marsh. Ryan Smith managed to come out right in front of Conor Marsh. Here they are on screen now. So that is Ryan Smith, and there was the danger man, Conor Marsh. Where was Conor Marsh going to come out? Reference Smith, and the answer is behind. So when Smith made his pit stop, he was able to come out just in front of Conor Marsh. He's right on sale. Now the question is, where will Williams end up? Because technically it will be in between those two, but as we can see, there's not a car space in between them.
There's definitely not a Williams-shaped space in between those two guys. And the thing is, Smith and Williams, that was their second coming together, and the second was harsher than the first. So I think Smith played a very, very smart move by getting out of the way, because I think another incident would too.
Now, Brandon Williams continues in the lead. He's got 9 laps in and 9 minutes to go. If he can pull clear, he's 9.5 seconds ahead of Ryan Smith. What he needs to do is get at least another second lead onto that. So even though he's not in contact with these guys at the moment, Williams has yet to make a pit stop. What he needs to be doing now is setting some very, very fast laps. What will help in that is if Conor Marsh is starting to push and hassle Ryan Smith and slowing the pair down. If Conor Marsh was to do that, that would help Williams, and Williams needs that. He is actually trying desperately. He's making some ground upon them, albeit on the other side of the track. And Williams only needs about a second when he's in the position to the great pit stop could put him in the lead of this race when he comes out of the pits.
I think I think the smart money's on Smith. Just at the moment.
Well, the smart money may be on Smith, but Williams is actually increasing that gap. He's pulled it up to 9.9 seconds. Now, bear in mind, we talk of a brilliant pit stop being in the 10-second range. Williams was to the good by 0.3 of a second on that lap alone. All he needs is a handful more laps at that kind of pace, and Brandon Williams is the fastest on track. He set a new fastest lap. Incredibly, Brandon Williams has really got the bit between his teeth. He set a new fast lap. 9.9 last time through. Here comes Ryan Smith. What's the gap going to be? Williams extended it, it's 10.1. Williams is doing exactly what he needs to win this race. He's got 7 minutes remaining and he's got to leave this pit stop late, but he can't leave it too late or he'll be disqualified.
Off screen, Mühlemeister made his stop to try and get ahead of Pullen and Power, was unable to do so and came out behind Pullen, and now Pullen is actually holding up Mühlemeister and letting Power go ahead in 4th place. So that 4th, 5th and 6th has remained the same. It's not as static as that might make it seem, but it looks like Power's been let off the hook.
Absolutely, Carl Power there running in 4th, and a great race by Aaron Pullen in 5th place, and the gap has gone up again, and Brandon Williams is almost in a position where he can come into the pits and come out in the lead, but when he did come out in the lead, it would be literally right in front of Ryan Smith, so it would probably be a side-by-side fight into the new section, so there could be some fireworks. Brandon Williams is under huge pressure to keep extending that lead. Brandon Williams crossing the line now, there he is on camera, and here is Smith and Connor Marsh on camera. They are setting very quick times, but still, the fastest on track is Brandon Williams now. What's happening here? All the time has come down. Ryan Smith and Connor Marsh have responded. They've taken 2 seconds out of Brandon Williams. It is still in a position where they're going to be absolutely neck and neck, but they're coming up to Simon Cleaver. Simon Cleaver, we know, is very good at letting people through, but it's through the tight bit. He can't disappear. Cleaver is down the order, but he's letting them through, but he
Bebbington.
Oh, it's Bebbington, is it? Yep, sorry, you're right. Bebbington, Jack Bebbington, in 10th place there, has let the leaders through when he could, but he couldn't disappear in the tight bits, and we'll see whether that's made any difference to the gap. It has. It's cost him half a second. Now Brandon Williams, if he makes a blind of a stop, could stop right now. It's side by side across the finish line there for Mühlemeister and Pullen. Mühlemeister taking a place away from Pullen, it has to be said there. But look at this. Ryan Smith round the fast corner down the backstretch. He's now in a spot where he's got to make time up. It's 10.6 gap to the leader, and that means that Williams, with the ideal stop, could come out in the lead. They're coming back up to the start line here, and we'll see if Smith and Marsh have been able to bring that gap down. They haven't. It's now up to 10.7. Gosh, the pressure's on here. It's a real cat and mouse job. Williams has 5 minutes which to pit, probably less than actually. Spanners.
Oh, just updating you on that Mühlemeister. Yeah, he made a great lunge into that final hairpin, completely surprised Pullen, and I was a little wrong earlier because it was actually early in the race. It was Power, Mühlemeister, Pullen. So Mühlemeister lost a place during the pit stops, but he's got it back on track, and it has shown that you can surprise people into that final turn, but you're going to have to risk a bit of contact and risk the judgment of the marshals to do so.
Absolutely. Andy Mühlemeister was exactly in the middle of the scores last year. He finished 100 driver championship in 50th place, so you know he's doing everything possible to move up the order. He's had a great tournament so far, but having a great tournament is also Ryan Smith. But Ryan Smith and Connor Marsh are in a position here where a good pit stop will leapfrog Williams into the lead. A bad pit stop will put him 3rd, so it's right on the bubble there.
The thing is, and the way Williams has been driving in this race, if he comes out in and around those guys into that 1st, 2nd and 3rd corner, we're going to see fireworks, and he's going to have to pit soon.
And I think we're going to see him come in the pits very soon. He's got Simon Cleaver that he's starting to close on. Now, Williams is going down the backstretch off camera, but he's coming up to Simon Cleaver, who's a back marker. Now, here's Cleaver. Will Williams come in the pits? No, he doesn't. There's Cleaver in the blue. There's Williams coming across the line now, and there's Ryan Smith. So Williams is not deciding to pit. I think Williams is going to go right up to the back of Simon Cleaver and then make his pit stop. Here's Ryan Smith and Connor Marsh, 2nd, 3rd respectively. They've got the gap down to 10.6. Each of these 3 drivers are doing their absolute best, but guess who's just set a new fastest lap of the race on that last lap? It's race leader Brandon Williams. That gap's gone up, 10.8.
Well done to Cleaver there, because there was no blue flags, but he had the awareness to let the leader through. And let's see if he's going to pit now. No, he decides to go another lap, having got past Cleaver without losing any time at all.
Simon Cleaver's shown himself really well in this tournament. You know, he's doing his best, and any time that anybody would go and put him a lap down, he's straight out the way, but somehow he doesn't lose too much time either. So great showing there by Simon Cleaver. It's not because he's actually slow, he's just not quite as fast as Brandon Williams, because as we ascertained when we were talking earlier, nobody in this tournament is actually off the pace. You put them in any of their club championships, anything like this, these are the front runners. You know, everybody here has some form of championship on their CV. Such is the standard that some drivers will end up going a lap down. It's an international event, of course.
Still, I don't think he's going to be quoting you on his bio, though. James Auld is doing his best. I don't think that's going to make
Well, as long as he just keeps it to that part of the sentence, I'm sure he'll be fine. But what's happened is Ryan Smith is now 11 seconds back. Brandon Williams has been unleashing a volley of fast laps, and it's now 11 seconds. Brandon Williams is really putting himself in position. He's only got 2 and a bit minutes. This has got to be the pit stop lap, surely. No, he carries on round. Brandon Williams cannot leave this any later than the next lap. There's only 2.5 minutes to go. Brandon Williams now has to come in the pits on this lap, surely. He's getting close to the end there, and he cannot pit on the last lap. It has to be one before. The checker will come out before we get down to 0. So Brandon Williams must pit this lap, surely. 2.5 minutes to go. We're looking at Ryan Smith and Conor Marsh. They are now 11.2 seconds back. Surely Brandon Williams could come out in the lead here. It's going to take a bungle pit stop. No! Williams has stayed out.
Has he got time?
I don't know. He's not got much time. He's going to have to come in this time. We think he's got enough time to do it, but this is going to be a last chance saloon. Surely, virtual manager, Williams in. Just get in.
Yeah, well, I guess so, but I don't know. No, I don't know. I'm not going to play virtual manager, but the gap has just extended again, so maybe he's made the right call. What do we know? Now,
Ryan Smith receiving a signal from somewhere because he was pointing crossing the line, and it wasn't Conor Marsh. Brandon Williams, we expect in the pits now. Please come in the pits, Brandon. Yes, he does. Williams in the pits. This is what's going to make or break the race. Here he comes. It's got to be perfect. He's got to do a massively good job on this one. Look for that reflection of green. Williams on the gas. He's made it. Yep. Was that green or was that yellow? Is he going to come out in the lead? Yes, he is. And more importantly, there's a cart between them. Someone's trying to pass race leader, but it's a back marker. Actually, it's Fergal Ludlow. He's in between Williams and Ryan Smith, and that has worked perfectly for Brandon Williams. Superlative bit of race strategy.
It was a big gap as well, so he's pulled that pit stop off well. So perhaps, I don't know, did you say it was a 10-second stop around? That for a good one?
Yeah, we'll have a little look, and it was a blinder. 10.2 is actually a better stop than either of those two behind him, even though they did well. So, what an amazing performance there. We're into the final seconds of this race. Brandon Williams crosses the line. It looks actually on the screen, quite a healthy lead. It is 1.6 seconds. There's Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams really showing something in this championship. He's the Golf Kart Sport Champion twice now. He's won the Daytona 24 hours and the British 24 hours, so he's good on the short and the long distances, and now he's shown that he has the potential to be a champion indoors as well in the British Rental Kart Championship. Brandon Williams, we're looking at Ryan Smith in second and Conor Marsh in third, all three very formidable competitors, but it's Brandon Williams who takes the win from Ryan Smith and Conor Marsh. What a race that was. It was very cagey. Brandon Williams leaving it to the last second to pit. He knew he was making up time, and the longer he left it, the more space he had for that pit stop, and the more time he had to do it correctly. He was lessening his own pressure, shall we say. So Brandon Williams wins from Ryan Smith, Conor Marsh. Kyle Power came through into fourth place. Andy Muller-Meister in fifth. Aaron Pullen, decent job there in sixth. Grocott in seventh. Simon Cleaver in eighth. And unlapped himself. Fergal Ludlow was ninth, and Jack Bebbington finishing in 10th. Now they're coming down into the pits now. First one in, of course, is Brandon Williams. Ryan Smith comes down the pit lane. They're all, well, Williams certainly is doing some more practice stops. Ryan Smith comes in behind him. There is Conor Marsh, we can see on screen. And behind that, it looks like Fergal Ludlow. That's it. Fergal Ludlow in the number 21. So out of the cart. And
Brandon,
what a race that was. That's going to be quite something. Spanners is going to have the pick of the drivers to talk to there. And we'll be going down to the pit lane in just a moment. There's Andy Muller-Meister walking towards it again, carrying the weights there. You see the all-important weights. That little yellow weight that's being carried forward, that's one of the track weights. And we're going over to the pits to Spanners.
Well, what a thrilling race there. It's great when we see the leaders fighting each other on track. In the end, it was done with a pit stop, but I'm waiting to speak to Brandon Williams. You're more important than us. Waiting to speak to Brandon Williams because he was in a real tough battle with Smith, and there was contact. And at that point, you have to think, when are we taking too much time out of each other? He's just weighing in at the moment, and Smith was involved in battles all the way through that. And Marsh, actually, he played a good game. He got out of the way of that battle very early on, and I think Smith getting out of the way of Williams actually handed Williams the win in the end. But I think Smith's thinking was right. If he'd have stayed out there with Williams being as punchy as he was being, they could have both fallen victim to Marsh. Here he is, Brandon Williams. I mean, speaking to you again, that was a real tough fight. Very punchy with Smith.
Yeah, I was a bit aggressive with my overtakes when he was in front of me, but I had to try something because he was defending so well.
The risk was Marsh had pitted early, and you were going to lose out to him.
I was looking on the track where he was, and it didn't seem to be catching us, so I was confident I could have a go. And then luckily he pitted. I didn't expect it. Well,
what, Smith? I think that the thing is, you'd had 2 contacts already. The risk was you two tripping over each other, hands Marsh the win.
Yeah, it worked out in the end. He pitted to cover Connor, and I could go out of the front and pull a bit of a gap.
And could you see that gap increasing ahead of those two?
Well, as soon as he pitted, I thought, okay, I've got an advantage here because whoever pits after has got a better chance of coming out in front. And
that's 2 wins so far, though, so you've got to be feeling pretty confident. What's your points total now? Do you know?
I have no idea. I've had a 5th and 2 thirds now, so the 5th doesn't help, but hopefully I can have a good finish and see where we end up.
Good luck, very good racing, very punchy, a great win. We love it when we see the winners actually fighting it out on track. I hope we see more battles like that today.
Okay, so you were listening to Brandon Williams there, the race winner, and what a win that was. That was a pretty epic performance. Clearly showed the strategy of indoor karting with a pit stop involved as well. It comes down to more than just overtaking on the track. Williams did almost a textbook job there. He took him, once he was clear of Ryan Smith and Connor Marsh, and they pitted, he was able to put in a series of fast laps, which meant that he was able to come out and go in and out of the pits just in front of the battling pair behind him. So that an incredible job there by Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams, of course, is the reigning Cov Kart Sport champion and has also won in the long distance races, the 24 hours at Daytona and the all-important British 24 hours at Teesside Autodrome. Okay, so we're looking forward towards the next heat race now, and in this one, well, there's going to be some quite interesting drivers up here. This is going to be a very, very fast and tough race. We've got Slavik Piskor's teammate to Rob Duma, who we saw earlier on. We've got Jessica Alexander, the Scottish lady who drove down from Scotland on Friday night. She only got the call on Friday to stand in for somebody. It was James Martin, who she's standing in for. Unfortunately, his dog had to have some surgery, so James Martin not taking part. Jessica Alexander standing in for him, and a really sterling performance by her. She's really shown well, having never seen the track before yesterday morning, and that is saying something at this international level. Jake Campbell-Mills, a former driver in the World Championships, Super 1 champion in Britain. His best finish was back in 2016 when he was 13th overall in the British Rental Kart Championship. John Mark Sisman is in this. Johnny Elliott, of course, former race winner in BRKC and doing very well in this tournament too. Johnny Elliott, one of the main British hopes. Mariusz Nowicki, oh, what's he done? He's been really good. He's the second in the championship in Poland, and he's coming over, and some great performances yesterday from him. Marcel Hollink, brother of the other Hollink, and Joris Sturm, Robin Kassam, and Sean Briley. Again, one of the British hopes. Sean Briley is in this. Sean Briley, true international racer all over the world, multi-continental as well, not just out in Europe, also in the USA, competing regularly in international events. He also won he was part of the winning Nations Cup team in 2017 in the Kart World Championship, the Nations Cup endurance event. Sean Briley was part of that winning team, and we're going to see him out here in this next race. So, as the karts are just waiting to be sent out, I think that is Mariusz Nowicki that we're looking at up ahead. It may not be, but I've got a feeling it is Nowicki there we're seeing on the screen. But Let's have a look down the lineup. Yeah, we got, importantly, Johnny Elliott is right on the tail there of the lineup. And in front of him, I think it might be Sean Briley. So the real quick laps are probably going to come at the tail here.
Got lined up. That's the last grid. Here's the new one. I'm a bit pro Elliott in this race. I know you don't really like the lads, but
no, I'm fine with him. He's a personal friend of mine. I don't know why you keep saying that, but no,
trying to create beef.
Oh right, okay, yeah. Yeah, he's got to be one of the favourites, Johnny Elliott. Equally, Sean Briley, Jake Campbell-Mills, Jessica Alexander just keeps getting better in every race, having not seen the track. Joris Sturm's in this. We've seen some probably better showings than ever. Joris Sturm. Last year he was 40th overall in the championship. This year he's going to be better than that, I think, because we've seen him top 3.
Who's your least favourite out of this lot?
I don't really have a least favourite, but if I was not betting a house on it,
I
would probably not put the house maybe on John Mark Sisman. But that doesn't mean he's bad. It's purely because I'd probably more put the house on Johnny Elliott.
Is it because he's from Romford?
I'm sure perfectly fine being an Essex boy, but
well, that's not the good bit of Essex. I'm from the nice bit of Essex,
well,
the north bit with trees. Romford, right rough.
Well, it's a bit closer to London than you, isn't it? You know, he's probably a bit more streetwise than you, though.
Oh yeah, we're in a scrap.
Yeah,
you'd
absolutely.
Back him.
I'd back him all day long. Yeah. Anyhow, Sean Briley is someone who I would certainly back in a kart fight.
Oh.
And Sean Briley, he's actually going to be one of the last out to qualify. Johnny Elliott is right on the tail of that, so he's going to be the last time that we see. In front of him is Sean Briley, and then Slavik Piskor's is ahead of him. So we are going to see some quick times at the end of this group. Jessica Alexander, I think, is nearer to the front. Sort of about 4 karts back. Joris Sturm, he's going to be quick. I think that's him 3rd in the lineup. So, well, we'll see how that all shapes out. Honk there is bang in the middle. So, well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens when they're all getting underway. Actually, it might be Jake Campbell-Mills who's 3rd back in the lineup, but I'll just double check. Just looking at helmets, trying to figure out who's set where. I think we're waiting for somebody, so that might be what the question mark is.
Well, who's late? Who's the
just
late
waiting
comer?
for somebody. There's some talking going on with the organisers from the side.
Yeah.
There's Brad Philpott down there. Arnaud Tinet, everybody's favourite Frenchman, is down there. So I think they're actually waiting on. A marshal is stood by an empty cart. So there may well be.
I'll have a go.
Waiting.
I fancy it.
Well, Spanners, you said you were something like 1.2 off the pace.
Yeah, but I can get out of the way fairly decently. Huh? 1.2 days off the pace, yeah.
Yeah, well, if you're 1.2 days out of the pace, but you'll get in the way in the twisty bits where you can't get out of the way.
Well, that's their problem. It won't affect my race.
Yeah, well, that's why you're not in it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. One day I dream of such
Okay,
things.
well, they're going to release them, and it looks like somebody's not going to be taking part. Obviously, we'll get a better feel for that when the times start to come in. But at the moment,
I mean, it is early.
It's going to be a 9-kart race.
They could just still be in the hotel. Were the drivers out on the lash last night after they finished?
I think from what I saw on Facebook, Adam Davis and Steve Gray were, shall we say, caught celebrating.
I am stunned and shocked and
they,
not shocked.
You know, we are. The venue is in the on the edge of Milton Keynes, and I think Steve Gray and Adam Davis may have been
they earned it.
Well, I think they may have been partaking of the falling over water. So we'll see what whether that affects their performances today. I mean, that was, they'll have a job topping what they did yesterday. In fairness,
they certainly will.
So, but I think they're doing themselves down. They are. So even if they don't necessarily consider themselves, they are pretty much holding their own at international level.
Yeah, I think they've stepped up, and that whole we've just come down. Look how shiny everything is down here.
They're just playing
now.
it down, aren't they? It's starting to wear a bit thin, to be fair, and they're well on their way to being called out on all that kind of. We're just here for the beer sort of thing. Right, so Kassam is fast. Joris Sturm has gone quicker on the outlap. This outlap doesn't really count for anything, but it does sometimes give a bit of an idea who's doing what. Hollink's now fast. Alexander went faster. Hollink has gone quicker again. But this is the outlet. Doesn't really count anything. It does sometimes show some things up. Slavik Piskor's top of the table there. But now we're starting to get the times coming in. So across the line and setting the first one, it is in fact Sisman who puts himself 3rd. Topping the list is Robin Kassam, and then it's Joris Sturm. Joris Sturm is now fastest. first. Joris Sturm showing the quickest lap. Jessica Alexander's gone second. Hollink's overtaken all of them. Marcel Hollink. Novicki is now fastest. Marius Novicki. Slavik Piskor. Sean Briley's gone quick. So what's Johnny Elliott going to do? Oh, Johnny Elliott to 7th.
That's not good.
No, he's going to be a bit disappointed with that. But Sean Briley topping the table there. Marius Novicki into 2nd and Marcel Hollink in 3rd. Now, Johnny Elliott's going to have seen those times. There's Hollink who's looking over his shoulder, the grey and white helmet up there.
Oh, nice helmet from Piskors.
A great show that. Well, you can almost see his own view from the.
Is that
GoPro.
a Senna helmet kind of underneath his colours? Is that what he's going for?
It's a sort of, yeah, sort of. There's Johnny
Can we
Elliott.
get a close up on
He's shaking his head.
Piskors'
Johnny
helmet
Elliott
again?
is shaking his head as they move into position. There's Piskors going up through to 5th place. And there's Johnny Elliott moving down for 7th. Jessica Alexander's going to be between them. Yes, she is. So she's looking over her shoulder there, waving to Johnny Elliott.
I like this shot of the
deal
drivers.
already near the tail there.
Like
Alexander, and there's Slavik Piskors.
Yeah, look, he's got Senna at the back.
Yeah, at the very back there. So Slavik Piskors' teammate Rob Duma, and Slavik Piskors also a former Speedway rider.
Really?
And,
There's another nutter.
A Polish one as well. So if you're a Polish Speedway rider, Speedway's very big over there. So if you end up racing for your city in Speedway, you're going to have to be either, well, very good, very crazy, or both.
What can Elliott do from 7th?
We've already ascertained that Speedway bikes don't have brakes. Now, as they come through, it's Sean Briley who's going to take the start. It's a good start. Sean Briley's got exactly the sort of lead he needs. It's also the biggest lead he could have possibly hoped for while a start is being given as clean. So Sean Briley's done everything he needs. Now, it's important for his championship chances that he checks out now. He just needs to clear off. An argument with any one of those drivers behind is not something he needs. We're going to keep an eye on Johnny Elliott, though.
Yep.
There seems to be some sort of deal with Jessica Alexander about moving towards the front. And how long Johnny Elliott...
Big move from
Alexander
Alexander.
onto Piskor. She bundles through there.
Great
Quite
move.
aggressive, but I think it's going to be
No,
given
it's
as
fine.
clean.
Completely
yeah,
fine.
very aggressive, but given as clean. And Piskor is going to be trying to come back.
Piskors not happy,
Now,
but
can Johnny Elliott go with her? That's the question. If a deal was being made, it will require Elliott to go
Piskors
through.
makes a lunge back past Alexander into that turn 3. He wasn't happy about the move. I didn't see anything wrong with it, but equally a clean move into turn 3 as well.
And the big loser out in that, because it caused a kerfuffle behind, is Johnny Elliott. And Johnny Elliott has dropped now behind Robin Kassam, I believe. So Johnny Elliott has got an awful lot of work to do to get on terms with the leader, Sean Briley.
Piskors now building a gap from Alexander as well. So it was key, really, if there's...
Elliott's in. Yeah, Johnny Elliott's had enough of this. He knows he's fast, and that is how he's going to get to the front. It's there's no point just losing time battling past. He's jumping up and down. It's more mental than anything else, but whatever works, works.
I don't think it does anything. I'm sticking to that.
Oh, it probably doesn't, but he's in a position where he's not willing to take the risk.
The only one thing like that definitely works is the Barsh standing up, bum all the way off the seat thing. That is definitely something that makes a difference.
Matt Barsh is borderline out of the kart, isn't he? I mean, you know, he's letting the kart accelerate. Well, he's not in it at all. Meantime, Sean Briley continues to lead. Marius Novicki is in second, 1.2 behind. Then it's Hollink, Sturm, Piskors, Jessica Alexander, Robin Kassam, John-Mark Sisman and Johnny Elliott. So we can assume there that Jake Campbell-Mills is the non-starter. So Jake Campbell-Mills, part of the Suffolk and Slow team, was a former World Championship driver, is not taking the start in this race. That will obviously put him completely out of the points for the semi-final. So practically over his championship is.
Storm hanging on to the hanging on to the back of that sort of leading 3, if you like, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. But Briley's checked out there.
Absolutely, Sean Briley's doing what he needs to win this. Clearly on his mind is building up enough of a gap. Now, Sean Briley can be a devastatingly quick driver on his day, and he often is on his day. This looks like being it, because Marius Novicki has been a potential winner. So has Hollink, so has Sturm. Piskors has won BRKC race before, and Johnny Elliott, sorry, not Johnny Elliott, Sean Briley is pulling out an increasingly bigger gap on them as each lap passes. They're 5 laps in, 1.8 seconds is the gap.
Battle to look out for nearer the back is Kazam on the back of Alexander, pressuring very much onto the back of that car, so there could be a move coming up soon. And then we've also got Shazam on his own at the back. So you may have been right there about the Romford lad.
Well, we'll see what happens. Kassam is clearly pressuring Jessica Alexander, who's clearly going to be after Slavik Piskorz. A gap has opened between the Polish driver Piskorz and Jessica Alexander. They're on screen now, and Jessica Alexander is coming under massive pressure from Robin Kassam. This is the battle for 6th place, and meantime Sean Briley's opened up 2-second gap. He's on the far side of the course in the new section is Sean Briley, and they've just gone out of view there, and that behind is Nowicki, Hollink and Joris Sturm. So Nowicki, the Polish driver, from the 2 Dutch drivers behind, Marcel Hollink and Joris Sturm, Dutch-based drivers, as they come down the backstretch. So there's Nowicki turning in. Now Mariusz Nowicki, he was second in the Polish Championships last year. He's second in this race in the British Championship this year. He's showing very well. I've seen him in the BRKC before, but he's already been the front runner in every race he's been in. He's scoring great points and surely got to be a potential for a semi-final position there, Spanish. Doing a great job.
Elliot at the back, very animated in the car. What sort of lap times is he turning in?
Well,
he made a wise choice.
He's done his best is 33.6 and his current is 33.9. That is comparable with it's not comparable with Sean Briley, but it is comparable with those behind him. So Nowicki, Hollink, Sturm, that is the kind of lap time they're doing. It's comparable. What Johnny Elliott needs to do is make up a gap, make up some time to them, because when he did pit, he was something like about 7 or 8, 7 seconds or so behind them.
It looks like Elliott is net keeping up with the leaders, actually, but Alexander and Kassam, for example, are falling back. So they could soon be in the clutches of Elliott, and Elliott could put himself net 6th, I think, at the moment, behind Piskorz.
Absolutely, and Jessica Alexander off screen has sort of opened up a bit of a gap, I'll call it a breathing space, over Robin Kassam. That means she doesn't have to be defensive, she can go back in towards attacking Slavik Piskorz.
Looking at the way
the lap times show that as well. She's picked up the pace a little bit without having to defend. Sorry, Spanish.
No, just looking at the way that gap jumped out from Alexander and Kassam, there may have been some kind of contact, as it looked to jump a second within the space of a lap, and suddenly that gap has appeared.
Yeah, Jessica Alexander is running nearly half a second quicker generally than Kassam, so she's obviously sort of just got the bit between her teeth. She's actually trying to close in on Piskorz, but doing practically the same lap times. Sean Briley continues to be the fastest. He has set the fastest time in this race, but that's the battle for 2nd place that we're looking at on screen. Mariusz Nowicki from Marcel Hollink and Joris Sturm. Slavik Piskorz, it has to be said, is closing on him. In fact, he's now onto the back of Joris Sturm. So this 2nd place battle has become a 4-way fight. So as they come down the backstretch, there is Mariusz Nowicki, the Polish 2nd in the championship over there in Poland. Behind him is Marcel Hollink. There's Joris Sturm, and there is Slavik Piskorz. So what a battle this is turning out to be.
So Piskorz felt hard done by, I think, in the early exchanges. Now he's got the momentum coming up to the back of this pack. He's probably not going to be in the mood to just sit on the back of this pack. He's either going to make a move, go for it, or quit.
Yeah, and this is going to get very tight indeed, because the way it shapes up, we've got, yes, Sean Briley in the lead, but we're looking at Mariusz Nowicki there in 2nd. There's 3rd Hollink, there's Sturm 4th. Piskorz has gone on the back of him, but closing in on all of them is Jessica Alexander, and she's bringing Robin Kassam with her. So this could very soon end up being an almighty, almost entire race fight over 2nd place. So there's Hollink across the line. Here comes, it's Nowicki. There's Sean Briley, the leader. So let's have a look here. That's Nowicki from Hollink and Sturm and Piskorz, and then there's a little bit of a gap, and then it's Jessica Alexander with Robin Kassam. So it's all starting to bunch up a bit behind Nowicki, despite the epic times Nowicki is setting.
Seisman comes in, a very neat stop, not taking any risks at all, but made sure he kept it clean.
And that is to the benefit of Johnny Elliott. Johnny Elliott moves up a place to 8th. And of course he's got Robin Kassam ahead of him. Now everybody in front of Johnny Elliott has to pit. The gap from the leader to Johnny Elliott is 20 seconds exactly right now. So all of those in front could pit and would come out in front of Johnny Elliott. But Elliott is moving quickly, and Elliott is in a position now. He's setting his own personal best, and the only person faster than Johnny Elliott right now is actually on track at the moment, the leader, Sean Briley. So Johnny Elliott is doing what he needs to leapfrog people. It's Marcel Hollink into the pits from 3rd.
Well, I wondered who was going to make that move first, because it did look like Nowicki was holding up everyone. Not like nose to tail, but certainly he was letting everybody catch up close to him. So I think this is a nice little gamble there by Hollink.
10.5-second pit stop there by Marcel Hollink. He did exactly the right thing. He's come out in front of Johnny Elliott, so and it's quite a good lead over Johnny Elliott, about 6.5 seconds. But Marcel Hollink quite inspired there. Now the question is, without Hollink in the way, can Sturm bridge the gap to Marius Nowicki? He's got Piscors coming with him, no pit stops or anything like that. The battle there has got a bit spread out, but they are matching each other for times, and I'm talking Nowicki in second place, right down to Kassam, who is in 6th.
Yeah, I think Alexander and Kassam have dropped out just a little bit visually. So you've got your fancy time comparisons. But I think Piscors is definitely looking to do something, and I can't see him sitting there forever. In fact, he's pointing. Yeah, there we go. Piscors has come in for the pits. Let's see, he stops very short. He's going to take a great run up to that. That's the first one cleanly done, just about perfect. Can he do the same on the second? I think so. I think he might have had to do a half lift, but what he's done is he's got himself out of Sturm's exhaust.
Marvellous effort there, bang on 10 seconds by Slavik Piscors. Wow. Incredible pit stop, and you could see there what he was doing. They have to stop within a certain area, and you can see the lights on red and on green. You can see the reflection. Some people are stopping fairly late in that area, and that's when you see them punching the throttle and feathering the throttle, and maybe even having a break, waiting for that green. Slavik Piscors, though, he stopped quite early, relatively speaking, and that allowed him. He was well on the power, but when you start doing things like that, my goodness, you better judge it right, because if you do jump it, you're going to jump it on practically full power. There's Johnny Elliott coming to put another lap in. Now, Johnny Elliott has been, well, his idea of stopping and leapfrogging people, it's not worked from a Hollink point of view, it's not worked from a Piscors point of view, but if Johnny Elliott can keep the pressure on and keep those lap times coming, it may work with the later stoppers. I think if you're going to beat Johnny Elliott, an early stop counts, but if you're going to beat Sean Briley or Nowicki, a later stop's going to count.
Seisman at the moment getting caught up in that battle, doing well to get out of the way actually on turn 3. That's not an easy place to let people past, and now he's in the twisty section, and this has fallen into the hands of Alexander, because there's not a lot that Seisman can do to get out of the way, and he's ended up holding up Kassam quite a lot there.
And Johnny Elliott near the tail of the field, but that was the fastest lap of everybody on this lap. So Johnny Elliott is doing everything he can. Obviously, he's listed down in 8th place, but he has made a pit stop, and he is fractionally closing in on those up ahead. If they want to beat Johnny, an early pit stop, as I say, is going to count. If they want to beat each other, the later stop. So it's all a question of where you think Johnny Elliott's going to end up. Now, Nowicki is up at the front. He's got almost a second lead over Joris Sturm that we're looking at here. Joris Sturm from Holland. He's actually from whereabouts in Holland? Middelburg is Joris Sturm. Showing very well at the moment, listed in 3rd place. He's 5 seconds behind the leader Riley, who with 8 minutes to go has got 20 laps into the books.
So Sturm is still keeping touch with Nowicki. They've both got to look out for Piscors coming out of pit, so that's the key gap to them, isn't it? Storm back to Piscors, and at the moment it's just on that kind of 11 seconds gap, isn't it? It's right about where a good pit stop is the difference between getting out in front or staying there.
Yeah, it's the kind of pit stop that he's going to be worried about it, but he'll probably make it.
Yes, he's 11 seconds. Can't afford to make a mistake, but he will get out in front. Yeah,
so absolutely right. Continuing around those Joris Sturm, he's not making a stop yet. There's going to be quite a few people in on these later stages, Spanners, and it's going to get a bit busy in the pit lane from a front runner's point of view. Surely, there's 8 minutes to go.
8 minutes is ages, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's potentially what, in real terms, from a pit stop point of view, they've got maybe 10 laps, possibly.
So actually, Briley, you'd think that this is his to lose, absolutely for sure. But looking at the pit stops, he doesn't want to get mixed up with Alexander and Kassam. He wants to come out in clean air. So he's probably looking. He can probably see them just behind. Oh, here we go. Who's in? Number 19, Storm.
Yeah, Joris Sturm is making his pit stop now. Where do we think he's going to come out? He's going to be around about Marcel Hollink.
This is going to be really tight with Piscors.
Hollink has actually passed him, and Piscors he's alongside. Piscors is going to go for the outside move down to the hairpin, but Sturm has got it covered. So Joris Sturm, he's dropped a place to Marcel Hollink, so he's lost out in that, but he importantly stays ahead of Slavik Piscors, the Polish Speedway rider.
Well, this is interesting because Kassam is ahead of them on track. He does not have to let them past. Have I got that right, or have I got mixed up with my drivers?
You are right. Kassam is ahead of them on track. He's 5 seconds ahead of them, so it's a bit of a gap. But Kassam is actually going to be fighting for position. It's just he hasn't pitted. So we're looking at Sturm, and there is Slavik Piskors right behind him. So Slavik Piskors is going to be getting pretty aggressive. The Polish driver, he's a really solid kart racer, is Slavik Piskors.
Is he the guy that does all the photos as well?
He is one of the photographers, yeah. He gets some great pictures.
Yeah.
He was 35th in the championship last year, but that kind of belies the efforts he makes. He's very strong technically and strategically. He knows when to fight and when to just put the laps in. He's capable of responding with fast laps, and he's capable of making punchy moves that count. Slavik Piskors is, yeah, he's a pretty formidable competitor. Is Piskors, quite fierce looking as well. If you were to have a fierce top three, obviously Chris Danes is always going to be in that, but Slavik Piskors would also be one of the more fierce looking drivers, helmet off.
Oh, here we go. Alexander's coming in for a pit stop. I think she's sort of on her own at the moment. That challenge from Sam has faded. Actually, look at that. That's a very good anticipated pit stop. Now taking after some of the more experienced people in this race by stopping short and gambling on that. And that looked to be a very good stop.
Yeah, it was. It's actually an 11-second exact stop, which is great. We'll take that all day long. Yep. It's a kind of stop that keeps you where you were, and that is important. You see, the biggest risk with this is that you cannot take liberties with those lights. You'll be back in the pits, and you'll definitely be bundled down the order. Jessica Alexander's doing great with that, because it would be very easy to try and get all fancy with it and clever, but she's not done this kind of racing before. A pit stop is new to her. The first time she's doing it is now.
Kazam's in the pits, and he's going to come out behind Alexander with a similar kind of gap.
And that's what she'll have been hoping for with her earlier pit stop. So Jessica Alexander's done everything she could have hoped for. More importantly, though, from Kazam's point of view, he's been taken by Johnny Elliott. So Johnny Elliott now sits between, it looks, Jessica Alexander and Robin Kazam. So he's bang in the middle of those two there.
Do we have enough time for Elliott to do something on track against Alexander?
Well, it all depends on what the lap times are like. As we see coming across the line, Johnny Elliott is pretty close. Jessica Alexander is crossing the line now, and Johnny Elliott now. So it all depends on speed. If we look at the actual lap times, Johnny Elliott is lapping a couple of tenths faster generally than Jessica Alexander. So technically, the answer would be yes.
Good. Go on, John.
So Johnny, and he needs points. He's one of those who is actually genuinely looking to make the semi-final.
Second place man, Nowicki.
Yeah, Nowicki pitting from second. Now this is crucial. He needs to stay in front of Marcel Holling.
He's going
to lose the place.
Yep.
And to Sturm, maybe. Sturm's going to be alongside him. Oh gosh, Maris Nowicki blocking him out big style. And that's really making a very tight position there for third place. Nowicki versus Sturm and Piskors as they come through the tight bit. Marcel Holling will be really pleased with that. He's managed to come out this in second. Challenging Briley is not up for debate. Briley's in the pits now. Sean Briley's leader, no hands on the wheel. He's got 5 seconds in hand should he need it. He doesn't need it, and this looks like a pretty comfortable win from Sean Briley. Now, it was an almost 11-second stop there by Sean Briley. He had time in hand. He could have afforded a 14-second stop if he wanted it.
Well, that would have been a very...
Elliott's gone through past Jessica Alexander.
Does it
and
stick?
Alexander's coming back at him, but Johnny's on the inside and blocks her out. So Johnny Elliott takes the Scotswoman, and they're the kind of points Johnny Elliott needed. That moves him up into 6th place. He's trying to tilt to... he's trying to wave at Jessica Alexander. We saw the run with me signal there from Johnny. Jessica not having any of it. She bundles him out of the way, but Johnny Elliott's back through on the inside. Battle Royal. We did see a signal there from Johnny Elliott, but Jessica Alexander, he's signalling again saying, don't fight me, work with me, because Slavik Piskors is just ahead. But I don't think... Whoa, and Alexander's the inside. Johnny Elliott's saying, what are you doing? You're just holding us up. Jessica Alexander now is going to come under pressure from, is it Robin Kazam? So that big lunge there, well, it's put Robin Kazam right on her tail. Johnny Elliott is in the clear, though. He's not really pleased with Jessica there. To be honest with you, Jessica Alexander has shown really well so far in the tournament, but that was just costly for her, not really necessary. A cleaner pass would have had a better result.
I appreciate the move, though. A bit cheeky, Johnny, to get past her in the scrap and then suggest they stop the battle and move forward. And fair play to Alexander for not accepting that at all. I think the move wasn't really on. It was a fair attempt. But what we've seen twice now in this race against Johnny Elliott and also against Piskors earlier is she's leaving the door open on that turn 3 hairpin. And if you do that, people are going to come through, especially knowing there's a little bit of leeway on that inside barrier.
Yeah, it's a tough one because the hairpin is very tight indeed, and the hairpin you're talking about at the top there is very tight indeed, so you do need a big swing going in there, but anything like a sensible line just opens the door, and it's people are not able to resist, are they? It's an irresistible open door, that one. Meantime, we're looking at Nowicki there in third place, battling against Sturm and Piscors. Sturm shaking his head about something. Maybe he's had a couple of taps from Piscors, but, well, it's getting racy behind Nowicki there. Nowicki in the white helmet has got Sturm and Piscors onto him. 1 minute 22 to go, so really not long. Round into that tight hairpin that we saw, and no passing moves going on there, but it is Nowicki looking over his shoulder there. He's got a face full of Joris Sturm and Slavik Piscors behind. Through the tight bit, heading around that big long turn to the backstretch. Sean Brierley's got the lead. Marcel Hollings in second, but there's the battle for third, and Nowicki there, the Polish second in the championship in Poland. He is really having to get defensive. He's got Joris Sturm trying to move up from fourth to third, and Slavik Piscors is looking pretty racy down there in fifth. So there's less than a minute to go now, and Nowicki has got a lot of pressure, So Nowicki no longer on any kind of racing line. He's blocking the inside all the way against the Dutchman Joris Sturm. So Poland v Holland v Poland, and Nowicki there on the inside absolutely all the way. Racing lines out the window here, it's about defence. Sturm is trying to attack and trying to defend, and in the background there was Johnny Elliott. The flag is out, and it's been given to Sean Brierley, who wins. Hollink is in second, and here comes Nowicki in third, Sturm fourth, Piscors fifth. Here comes Johnny Elliott for sixth, and then Jessica Alexander for seventh, and eighth is Robin Kassam, and John Mark Sisman is a lap down in that ninth place. Here he comes actually, and there's John Mark Sisman taking the flag as the final finisher there in ninth place. Okay, so what a win there by Sean Brierley. Ended up being a mere 3.3 seconds, so they had actually closed in. That was Marcel Holling, and in fact Nowicki had closed in as well. So Sean Brierley losing a bit of time near the end, but it didn't matter. He got the race win. There is Sean Brierley at practice pit stop, and just taking every opportunity to practice it, and win there for Sean Brierley, and a very, very well-deserved win. He really played the numbers game on that one. Marcel Holling, an excellent second place, and Nowicki absorbing all kinds of pressure there to take third ahead of Joris Sturm and the flying Slavik Piscors. Johnny Elliott on a bit of a recovery mission. With the best will in the world, it would have taken a massive effort by anybody to have had any say in that matter from where Johnny Elliott had found himself on Nowicki, Sturm and Piscors. So probably the best damage limitation job that Johnny Elliott could have pulled to get sixth place. And obviously a fighting seventh there by Jessica Alexander, and Robin Kassam behind her. Caught right at the end, but wasn't able to make any passing move. And John Mark Sisman concluding the runners at the back there. So we're going down to the pits, and we'll be with Spanners in the pits for a driver interview or two.
I'm joined by race winner Sean Brierley. A fourth, a second, and now a first. That looks pretty comfortable.
Yeah, it actually was a bit easier than I thought it was going to be. Fortunately, the guys behind me started battling straight away, and I managed to jump Marius at the start.
What goes through your head though? Because you've got that lead, and you think, oh, I can only do bad from here.
None of that. I was so cold. I just wanted it over. I couldn't race halfway through. My hands had locked up. I was just trying to get through to the end.
What are you on about? There's a marshal with shorts over there.
I've got a tank top on under this. That's it.
So you've got to be good for the semi-finals now. Second, fourth, and a first place.
Yeah, pretty happy with that. One more heat, last heat of the day on a track I feel like I'm quicker at.
Give me a bit of insight. Who do you want to beat? Who in this tournament in the semi-finals, and you think if I'm above them, I've done well?
Everyone.
So just go for the win. Yeah. Sean, thank you very much. Congratulations. A very comfortable race win. I think he was surprised by that as well, but certainly earned it with pace. Back up to you, James.
Okay then, so we were hearing there from Sean Brierley, now definitely one of the established stars in the championship, an established star internationally as well is Sean Brierley. So a great and well-judged win by him. Interestingly, further back, Marcel Holling scored a huge load of points for that second place. Very important for his championship chances moving in towards the semi-final now. Everybody clearly with their eyes on whether they're going to make the semi-final. Now, just to explain to those watching on the live stream and people who may not be aware of the scoring system, the British Rental Kart Championship works to a more international standard rather than what would happen in a regular UK contest. So the way it works is a little bit like this. All the drivers are scoring points in 4 races, 4 heat races over the 2 days. The top 30-point scorers go through to the semi-finals, and there are 3 semi-finals. Now, the semi-finals are not a knockout as such. What they are is the right to continue scoring. So the top 30 continue to add to the scores they've already got in their heat races. So high scores in the heat races is going to, by definition, make your semi-final a little bit easier in terms of them moving through to the final. Then if you've qualified to the final, there'll only be 10 people in the final. When you've qualified through to that final, then it's all bets are off and we're no longer dealing in scores. Actually, the World Championship, as it happens, the final is a further continue to score job. So in a sense, it could well be a situation where in the final of the World Championships, the actual winner of the race is not necessarily crowned world champion, because it is another continue to score. But in the British Rental Kart Championship, when we get to the final, those 10 finalists, all bets are off, and it's first past the post. So we're moving to the final of the round 3 heat races, the final race on this alternate layout, and then we're going to be having a bit of a gap while they reset the course. Now, on this race, Spanners, you've got something to talk about on this race.
Fantastic. Here's an interesting stat. Lovely lad has never completed a race without making contact. So contact guaranteed in this race.
Well, and the people who made contact, let's make a little short list of 9. So there are 10 people in it. We've got Sean McGrath in this one, and we've got George Lovell, brother of Jim, who we saw in third place earlier on. Tim Andrew, one of the known photographers. Dante Dillon, who obviously is one we're looking to be punting about. Vincent Osborne's down there, Gary Llewellyn, Matthias Matisse, the Polish driver, Logan Sune, one of the Blue Star Racing Team drivers from Belgium. Ben Churchill is in here, and one of the Mad Brothers, the second of the Mad Brothers, it's Mark Mühlemeister this time. Andy Mühlemeister we saw in action earlier on. And but really looking from this, your best bets have got to come from George Lovell, Logan Sune, and certainly Matisse, but it's a bit of a tough one to call as well. So their qualifying time is coming through. Osborne sets the initial pace. Vincent Osborne is currently on pole. Logan Sune's gone fastest. The Belgian Sune. Mark Mühlemeister's now moved second. It's still Logan Sune. Vincent Osborne third. Sean McGrath is in 8th. Ben Churchill has gone third. Tim Andrew gone third. George Lovell is second. It's still Logan Sune at the top. Gary Llewellyn third, and top in the list, it's Dante Dillon. Dante Dillon fastest. Matisse. Where did that come from with Dante Dillon?
No, he's quick. I've been watching him all season in DMAX.
He is quick, but he's just out-qualified. Logan Sune, George Lovell, Matisse, particularly, they're the ones I'm thinking about. That is a step up, whichever way you look at it, by Dante Dillon.
And I would, if I was Songy, I would be treating Dillon like a kitten with a shotgun. As in, if you're going to get past, make sure you're careful, because Dillon's going to defend that. He leaves absolutely nothing on the track whatsoever.
Yeah, and based on what you said, it may well be a kitten with a Gatling gun more than a shotgun. I think Dante Dillon's going to be setting at what he would consider a searing pace to begin with, but if anyone gets past him, I think he's going to be straight back at them. We're getting the feeling here that Dillon's not really going to be playing a strategic game in this race.
He's a very good defensive driver, so it's going to be tough for the guys behind, even if they have ultimate pace. This is going to be a great one to look out for right from the start.
Yeah, he's a bit of an old school street fighter, I guess, is Dante Dillon. Dante Dillon, of course, was a semi-finalist last year. He ended up being listed as 28th overall, so he has got the speed. Obviously, that's why he's on pole position for this race. But to be honest with you, it is quite a surprise to see him up there, especially when you consider it's against Logan Sune, one of the finest indoor kart drivers in the world at the moment. George Lovell there is somebody who we've seen at the top in the earlier races, and he is, you know, he's a former Super 1 driver in the UK, so he's no slouch, one of the South Coast karting boys down there, Bournemouth. Jim Lovell, his brother, we saw in the top 3 earlier on. So Dante Dillon now, though, this is going to be a race worth watching, it really is. So if you're on the live stream, if you're going to stick with any race at all, stick with this one. Dante Dillon, is he going to hit it early? He does, he's on the gas already, he's flat out on that final turn, crossing the line. Logan Sune shaking his head, you know, well, Logan Sune is now finding himself battling over the lead with somebody not that style that he's used to fighting with. This is not going to be a race of strategy up at the front. It's going to be a race of punchiness. And Logan Sune is right on the back of Dante Dillon. Is it going to happen down the back stretch here? Is Logan Sune going to think, I've got to do something soon? Already defensive is Dante Dillon. Yeah. Just as advertised, really, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Sune got a great run out of the Snell section onto that back turn. So I think that's what we're going to see straight away. You can see Dillon's very busy, very aggressive style, getting sideways, busy on the wheel, especially into this turn 3 right now. You'll see he's sliding quite a bit more than the guys behind. So, yeah, I think this is going to be definitely a battle of defensiveness for now.
Absolutely, and Logan Sune, I think, we're not seeing, I wouldn't call it lack of respect, but I definitely think it's a lack of regard for Dante Dillon.
He doesn't want to be there.
No, absolutely, but it's more lack of regard. He does not consider Dante Dillon to be a competitor of the kind of world level calibre. I'm not saying that as a negative, really. It's just I think he feels that Dante Dillon is someone he needs to deal with very quickly. It's not someone he's going to strategise through the race with. So it's going to be interesting.
Oh, I see.
Will others consider that a factor of the 3 behind, and actually will we see some early pit stops? Because I think Logan Sune's into the attack. Let's say he was up there with Ruben Boutons, he'd probably strategise this, but I think Logan Sune's just going to attack this situation.
I mean, there's still 5 or 6 karts in touch with the leaders, and I've watched Dillon in the past, and if he's going defensive, he's going defensive, and he wants to keep the position, and with no pit stops yet, there's no pressure on the pace. He'd be quite happy to let all 10 karts punch up.
And Dante Dillon is setting a very worthy pace there, and he's not on pole by chance. You know, he's not up at the front by chance. This is not like everyone's pitted and come out behind him. He is up there on merit. Dante Dillon is making an absolute flying job of this, and to be sitting there ahead of Logan Sune and being able to hold off the Belgian racer behind him is really saying something. He's got some world-class opposition ganging up on him right now, and he's holding them off, and this is a great showing there from Dante Dillon. Really good performance. Early pit stop by Sune. Now Sune is going to strategise his way around this. He's, as I said, I don't want to be talking Dillon down. I'm really not trying to do that. But Logan Sune is probably not going to hold him in the same regard as others, is what I'm saying.
Well, it's a big feather in the cap for Dillon that he's made Sune pit after 4 laps. He's forced that.
He has, because what Sune has been forced to do is to take one of his options away. So if anyone else pits and was then running in front of Sune and holding him up, he's got nothing to do, and that's a risk Sune will be aware of. That's not a move he'll start to do. So Dillon has forced one of the finest kart drivers in the world to take a pretty risky early pit stop, that's what he said.
But no one's followed him in. That's interesting.
No, because now George Lovell has closed up on Dante Dillon. Dillon is actually carrying great speed, so Lovell wasn't immediately onto him. It's not like Dillon's actually holding anyone up. The question is, will Lovell have a bit more faith in Dillon than Sune had?
Well, Sune is now behind McGrath, straight up to the back of him. McGrath's got no obligation to let him pass whatsoever. So does McGrath go defensive, or does he think, I don't need to lose time here?
Yeah, so already Sune is going to be losing time, and this is what Lovell will be considering. Do I want to lose if I think I'm losing time to Dillon?
Oh, McGrath's battling him. Sune's trying to go around the outside. But McGrath's holding him. He's perfectly entitled to. And oh no,
Logan Sune's waving, but it's his own fault. He's the one who pitted away from Dillon. So he thought he was faster than Dillon, so pitted. And the question is, he was probably faster staying with Dillon than he was trying to get behind McGrath. And he's gone down the inside. It's a robust move. Will it be given as a bad pass? We're not sure.
I don't know. I think the marshals might look at the pace difference between the two of them and factor that in.
I think you're right there. They'll consider the situation, won't they?
Yes.
They'll consider the situation. That's not what you would. That's not I saw someone going to pitch there, but Dante Dillon hangs on into the lead there. He's fending off George Lovell. A great showing there by Dante Dillon. Really has got some world-class drivers.
I think if Lovell or Mattis pit now, they're ahead of Sune, aren't they?
They are, and it may well be, if they were to know what had happened with Sune, it might well be that an urgent pit stop now could be worth it, because once he's clear, Logan Sune will make that time up. There's no doubt about it. this is where the cart to pit radio would be ideal, isn't it? The virtual manager might pull one of those two, one of the three leaders in, because you know, Dante Dillon. I mean, you can imagine Sune's face if he came out of the pit.
Livid.
Yeah, ahead of him. Oh, wouldn't he just? Dante Dillon now, well, he's covering the middle rather than the inside, so he's just sort of keeping George behind him rather than actually.
If Dillon's got any mates in the barriers, get down onto the side there and tell him to pit now.
Well, Dillon's going to have a lot more fans in this race going now than he did going in, because it's a great showing there by Dante Dillon. He's been fast. We know he's fast, but we've not seen him on the front of the field, and he's really holding up. Well, not holding up George Lovell. He's holding off George Lovell. That's the right way of putting it. George Lovell is doing his absolute best. It's 0.3 of a second, but Dillon is just keeping him back. He can't do anything, and Matisse just can't close absolutely on that leading pair. And of course, Matisse, he was the junior champion of Poland last year, so he's going to be very fast indeed, and he's just not able to get right on the bumper of George Lovell.
Well, let's see what the gap is. It was 12.3 all the way back to Sunge, which is really the pit stop window, isn't it, that we're looking at between the top three. So we're seeing Sunge come over the line now, and it's 12.1, so that gap is closing. The opportunity for those top three to come in and still come out ahead of Sunge and take advantage of his scrap with McGrath is now closing.
Absolutely, and the crucial stat to look at here, if you're watching at home on the live stream, is this little leaderboard on the left of the screen. Now, look down at Logan Sune, it's 12.1. If Dillon pitted now, he would come out ahead of Sune. So it sounds crazy to put out the lead like this, but it may well do him a favour to do that in terms of a finishing position, although he would have to hold Sune off for the entire race. But it's, you know, Sune's coming down to 11.7. Sune, this is why he's pitted away at this. We know that a 10-second stop is a ballistic stop, 11-second stop is a good stop, so the closer Sune gets, that's now 11.7, the closer he gets to the leader, the more likely he is to leapfrog them when they stop in the pits. In other words, to stay ahead of Sune, all these three leaders probably need to come in now, crazy though it sounds.
But from their position, that just seems like a bonkers thing to do. In fact, the only person really, I think Mattis, would look at that and say he's being held up by both of them.
Yeah, but I think in all three cases it would be worth a punt, not because you're thinking about who's you're actually going to come out with, but just for the sheer sake of being in front of Sune. Because Sune is one of the best in the world, and he's going to be fast, and he's going to win this race if they don't block him. Someone's in, it's Mattis. I think Mattis has seen that, because everyone else has been pitting late generally, but Mattis, I think, has seen what's happened from Sune. The drivers can see what the gaps are out on the track. There are screens around the track, and he's come out behind Sune.
Just too late.
And this is why Sune pitted, to be able to leapfrog these guys.
No, well, Sune was actually ahead of Mattis and Lovell. He was trying to leapfrog Dillon, but if it had been a couple of laps earlier, Sune would be now behind. And
that's
Mattis.
why I was calling it about pitting now, regardless, because ordinarily anyone pitting would be worried about Churchill, Andrew, Llewellyn ahead, but it became not a case of where will you end up generally, it would be more like making sure you came out ahead of Sune, and I think they may have all left it too late now. It is 11.5 seconds Sune to Dillon, so if Dillon was going to do it and come out ahead, now is the time, literally right now.
Interesting that Churchill has waved through Mattis, didn't need to, no blue flagged, was for position, obviously Churchill hasn't hit it yet, but he just waved him through. I think he was just going, you know, that's a battle I'm not involved in. Smart thinking, really.
Quite simply, he's a good lad and he knows the score.
Right, got it. And he's also got Tim Andrew ahead of him that he thinks he might still be able to catch.
Yeah, and Ben Churchill, his best result in the BRKC overall was 2 years ago, Ben Churchill, 42nd in the championship, which is knocking on the door of the semi-finals, to be fair.
Oh, big contact there from Sunge. He's apologised. No, I don't. Oh, I've misinterpreted that hand signal. I don't think that was an apology. And Mattis has gone through down the inside. Loads and loads of contact. Now Sunge has lost out again to Tim Andrew, who they were getting past. But Tim Andrew is there for position. He just hasn't pitted yet. And loads of hand gestures. I don't speak Italian, so I can't quite translate.
Nor does Logan Sune, because he's Belgian. But
the hand gestures was the joke.
I think. Well, he's speaking in all languages at the moment, and it's probably bad languages. That's the native tongue for Sune at the moment, bad language. In the pits, though, is number 9. That, of course, is Osborne. Now, where Osborne has moved himself away from Mattis, Sune, etc., but it might be a factor with the leaders, because the leaders are coming up to, well, he's actually out quite well clear. So nothing going there. Osborne exits into clear air. But Sune, all that messing about has allowed Mattis in the lead. Now, crucially, Dylan has got another chance to come in the pits and still come out ahead, because Mattis and Sune are 13 and 15 seconds respectively back. I don't think that Dylan and Lovell should be thinking in terms of, oh yeah, but if I come out now where I'm Mühlemeister versus Llewellyn. It's all about coming out ahead of Mattis and Sune, because to be honest with you, I think really, in reality, Mattis Sune on their own are faster than Dylan and Lovell potentially. And I think an inspired pit stop for either of those two will be now, because Mattis and Sune are already bringing that time down. 11 is McGrath, Sean McGrath. Now, where's he going to come out? It could well be near the leaders. No, they're clear, and that's okay. So there's Dylan still in the lead versus Lovell. Now Mattis and Sune are closing in on the leaders. If the leaders have another opportunity by that kerfuffle that occurred earlier on to make a pit stop that would keep the lead, you know, if they knew about it, they need to come in now, because Mattis and Sune are just going to close that gap up again.
I think they've got at least 3 or 4 laps before Mattis and Sune are going to be able to close that gap again. So if I'm kart manager, if I'm playing virtual kart manager at the moment, those two are free to fire and battle each other and pick their pit stop window. At the moment, Sune and Mattis are not an issue. They're not on the radar at the moment. 13 seconds back is Mattis from the lead.
Absolutely, and it's going to be all eyes on Lovell, really. I think if anyone was going to see that, oh, 8 car is Ben Churchill. Now, where does Ben Churchill come out on the track? Because the oh, he's going to be clear. Yeah, that's right. He's clear of absolutely everybody. He's going to be on his own. Here are the leaders. Here's Lovell coming out. I was going to say, Lovell needs to do it. Lovell does need to be the one to do it. We've got, obviously, Jim Lovell up on the balcony. I'm sure we got Ray Lovell back at home down near Bournemouth there at South Coast Karting. He's probably watching this and yelling at the screen, if I know Ray.
But Dylan's got traffic up ahead. He's got number 9, Osborne, up ahead of him. They will be blue flags, but he doesn't want to get held up. He needs to come out and pit now. This is the time. Come on, Dante. Make sure you respond.
Now, it's worked out perfectly for George Lovell. This is exactly why he needed to pit when he did. He's come out about just under 2 seconds ahead of Mattis, and yes, into the pits. Now, this is the crucial one. Is Lovell going to take the lead? Is George Lovell going to do it? Because he's going to win the race if he does. It's all down to Dante Dillon. Dante Dillon could win or lose this race.
He's done enough.
He's waving his arm, but it's looking good.
Was that a penalty? Was that clean?
It's looking very good. Ray Lovell's going to be yelling at the screen, throwing things. There's Dylan in the lead. Is he going to get punted? No, he's not. And Dylan hangs on the lead. This has worked out perfectly for Dante Dillon with 8 minutes to go. What a race!
I'm hoping that stop from Dylan was clear for his sake.
It was an 11-second stop spanner, so hopefully no mistakes. And Dante Dillon, everything has gone in his favour. They needed to make those stops because they're 3rd and 4th. Logan Sune and Mattis, they were the danger ones. They were closing on these. They are faster than the 2 leaders, but the actual leads themselves, they stopped at probably the last moment that they could have. Certainly Dylan couldn't have left it any later.
No, he had to come in then, and I'm very glad for his sake that he didn't throw away the lead there after having so many opportunities to pit and come out in the net lead. I think he's taken his very last opportunity. Any later than that?
Yeah, literally, because I think if Dylan had come in a lap later, George Lovell would have won this race. Simple as.
The net loser here is Songe as well. He made that risk to come out and then just got tangled up with McGrath. It's unlucky in a way, but then he also got tangled up with West as well. So that's the risk of that early pit stop, is putting yourself in the traffic.
Exactly. He felt he was being held up, but put himself in a position of being in a worse hold-up situation. The risk of the early stopper. But Logan Sune, he would have known that risk, and he rolled the dice, and he didn't quite get the numbers.
Given that nobody else in that front 4 was pitting, did Logan need to take that risk?
Yeah, I think he did actually, because he rolled the dice on the idea that if he pitted and could set some fast laps, it was going to work. As it happens, it didn't work, but I think on paper it would have been always worth taking that chance. He's actually no worse off, arguably. I mean, I know he dropped from 2nd to 4th, didn't he?
That's so quite a bit worse off.
It is that bit worse off, but in terms of sheer numbers. But he is still with that lead group, and there are 6 minutes to go. This could well change position quite easily. Dante Dillon at the front is probably the, he's fast enough to hold him off, but they are also fast enough that they're going to be nose to tail. I think we're going to see some action before the end of this race. I really do. Logan Sune is in 4th place, and at the moment
Oh,
is probably better.
contact.
There you go.
Oh,
There you go.
no, that's a
That's
disaster.
exactly what I'm talking about. Being fourth is probably better than being third because you know, he could have easily gone around and been second there.
Mattis took a big
Lovell was
chunk
the big
out.
loser there.
Yeah.
Unlucky for George Lovell. Yeah, Mattis had a stab at him and turned him around. In fact, he's lucky that he's that close. However, if Mattis catches up with Dante Dillon, which is actually Dillon's got a bit of a decent lead now, hasn't he?
It's gone. Hand gestures from Lovell. He is distraught. He kept putting his hand up. I think there was a lot of contact coming from Mattis behind, and he could sense it coming. And Mattis has just taken a big chunk out of his rear left-hand side through the very tight section.
A couple of laps earlier, Lovell had patted the back of his helmet towards Mattis, as if to say, you know, look, wind it in, mate, wind it in. And obviously Mattis did wind it. Funnily enough, it was exactly the point where they collided. You know, a couple of laps earlier. So we'll see what happens here. Ooh. So the winner there was Logan Sunne, because he's now up to third. He's going to be having a few shots at Mattis.
What does the red and black triangle flag mean? Because that's just been shown to Mattis.
That is a warning flag.
Ah.
Yeah, in fact, may even be a bad pass possibly, which is going to be really serious.
Yeah.
Because Mattis is going to have to let Logan Sunne through in order. Logan Sunne, he's seen that he's been given a bad pass, so Logan Sunne, you see, Mattis has to let Lovell through, which involves letting Sunne through as well.
Oh no! Oh, that's
so
bad
Mattis
news.
has to drop 2 places. You see, the bad pass flag meant that he had to let Lovell through, but because Logan Sunne was now ahead of Lovell, he had to come through as well. So Mattis, big loser there, and look at this, through that kerfuffle, Logan Sunne, best placed by being fourth, because he's now second.
I think race control have had a long look at that. It's taken a while for that flag to come out, but certainly how I saw it, that was over the line.
Well,
Mattis,
that was the only time someone had spun out, so they almost had to give it, though it was a bit of a racing incident, it has to be said. But it's all to the benefit of Logan Sunne. Now, Gary Llewellyn is in the lead at the moment on paper, and he's yet to make a pit stop, but it's going to be Dillon's race.
Mühlemeister has pitted, and he's ahead of Sunne.
Oh my goodness.
That has...
Yeah, Mühlemeister pitted out the lead. Now this is a different complexion. There's Mühlemeister we're looking at, and Logan Sunne is actually going to cycle out this third. There's Mark Mühlemeister. This is unbelievable by Mark Mühlemeister.
You keep fighting, lads.
That is a nominal second place. We've got Gary Llewellyn, who's in the lead at the moment on the track, but he's not pitted. Dante Dillon, Mark Mühlemeister, Dante Dillon's best friend in the world right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mühlemeister knows he's in net second overall, and he is fighting Logan, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he does, because he knows he's made a pit stop. So by definition, if he's made a pit stop, anybody who's challenging him is for position, not to put him a lap down. He knows his position, he knows he pitted out to the lead, and Mark Mühlemeister, well, these Mühlemeister brothers have been coming on really strong. Mark Mühlemeister last year, you know, he was not a front runner, he was 37, so knocking on the door of the semi-finals, but now he's running second overall. And surely this is going to be Dante Dillon's race, because he's got a 4-second lead on this battle, and this is an almighty battle. Logan Sunne is in third place. In reality, Llewellyn is yet to make a pit stop. He's continuing to circulate with 13 cars. He's coming in this time. Here's Gary Llewellyn. Now, where will Gary Llewellyn actually rejoin? Because he might actually rejoin among the Mühlemeister fight. Here's Gary Llewellyn. He's actually battling for second place, really. Where is Mühlemeister? As Gary Llewellyn comes out of the pits, Mühlemeister alongside him. Yes, it's side by side. Can Llewellyn hold him off? He's got the inside. He's got the inside. Logan Sunne passes Mühlemeister. He passes Llewellyn. Logan Sunne to second. What a move by the Belgian ace. What a move to second place by Sunne. 2 of them in one go.
Oh, you've got to feel for Mühlemeister, because he had to go around the outside. The momentum took him so that he had to go around the outside of I lost track of who it was coming out of this. But yeah, he ended up getting done on the inside.
Absolutely. Now, that was a world-class performance by Logan Sunne. They're world-class.
That was too much.
Lovell again.
That was too much.
Lovell again.
Frustrated. He's gone for a punt.
Lovell's lost all those places. If the bad pass flag comes out, it's Mühlemeister is going to go tumbling down the order, because he's going to have to let Lovell through.
No. That's all on Lovell.
1 minute remaining. 1 minute left in this race as Dante Dillon comes through to what could be the most epic win of the tournament so far. Dante Dillon with a 4-second lead. It's kicking off behind him like no other race.
Bit of context before I run down to the pits.
We were saying, sorry.
Yeah, that was Lovell. He took a big punt down the inside. I'd be very surprised if he
Okay,
keeps
so
that place.
yeah, Lovell's own bad pass flag really has cost him anyway. So unlucky there for George Lovell. So Dante Dillon with hardly any time remaining, with less than a minute. This is probably going to be the last lap. It's going to be an epic win in one of the most epic races we've seen this tournament. Dante Dillon, well, he was hyped up as being the one who was going to be tapping other karts, but it's everyone else has been crashing into each other. And Dante Dillon has come through to an amazing victory. And one more lap to go for Dante Dillon. He's really looking good. He's on his final lap now. Dante Dillon, look at him go. A semi-finalist last year, 28th overall in the championship. A great run by him. He's really been fighting a rear guard action, but those behind him have been the ones who failed. He has come through the winner. An excellent performance there by Dante Dillon. You cannot take anything away from this amazing performance. He's round, coming to the final part of the lap for the final time. They're readying the checker flag. The checker flag is going to come out for Dante Dillon. What an amazing performance there. Dillon wins, the Egham-based driver. Dante Dillon wins. It's Logan Sunne, a world-class performance. He had it all going on around him, Logan Sunne. He's been up the order, he's been down the order. He pit stopped early, it didn't work for him. A crazy race going on, but Logan Sunne comes through in second place. Mark Mühlemeister into third. Mühlemeister, top 3 position for him. That's the best result we've seen from him. Mattis into fourth. Gary Llewellyn into fifth. The unlucky George Lovell there, battling for the lead, potential winner of this race, but Dillon pitted on the only lap that was going to make the difference, and George Lovell ended up in 6th when it could potentially have been a win. Ben Churchill in 7th. Tim Andrew in 8th, and Osborne 9th, and McGrath rounds him out in 10th. And all I can say from that is what a race. And down there near, but oh, look at George Lovell. He's in the face of the 21, Matthias Mattis, the young Polish driver, getting an absolute earful from George Lovell. And yeah, he's pointing and yelling. This is pretty fierce stuff. We're going to be going down to Spanners in the pits, and he's got some interviews to do. What a race.
Well, firstly, look, that was an incredibly dramatic race. We're into round 3 now, and it's really, really important to these guys. Every single place on the track being fought for very, very passionately. So we had Lovell there involved in a lot of battles. Early on, not happy at all with Mattis. Mattis making moves up the inside, spinning him half around, but then Lovell getting involved in a big tangle later on as well. Very aggressive moves, and then that aggression has spilled over to the pit lane as well. Guys, I just have to say that was a passionate race. Great to see the passion. Maybe a shame it's boiled over to that extent, but that can't take away from Dante Dillon. If you can do anything, it's defend from the lead.
Yeah, quali is what did it for me. I felt the lap was just, I had to win, like, if there was even a chance of doing that, I had to get pole position. The lap felt very good, so I felt confident. To be on pole was a bit of a surprise, but, you know, I'll take it. Yeah, it's just defending before, like, I used to look behind a lot, but then I realised halfway through the race, there's no point looking behind you, because you're just not going to focus on the next corner.
Well, you were still putting lap times in, even though you were being reasonably defensive. You've got Logan Sunne behind you, and you forced him into an early pit stop. That guy's pretty good, and you dictated his race and put him in trouble. That's a big compliment to your driving.
Yeah, when I saw the names on my race, I was like, Logan's for the win, surely.
Everyone did. No one rated you.
Yeah, I know. Which I would do the same. Yeah, props to Logan. He obviously gave me a hard time. Which is why he's so good. I mean, he's one of the Blue Star drivers. They do excellent.
And how aware were you of the kerfuffle behind after the pit stops?
I heard a big bang, and I saw 3 carts all coming to a stop. I was like, oh, maybe a yellow will come out or something, but it didn't. They all managed to carry on, but I was aware of it. And as soon as I saw that, just head down, just try and get away. So yeah.
Great heats win. What represents a good weekend for you?
Just getting to the semis really. Obviously with the 2nd and the 6th, I was like, but that first really helped. So main focus on the last race, because anything can happen. But yeah, semis.
Keep fighting. That's the cleanest race I've ever seen you in, by the way.
Yeah, I can't say the same for my DMX races, but yeah, no, it was a really good race, really pleased with how I drove.
Brilliant. Congratulations. Great race win. A worthy winner there. A really passionate race. The spirit of this competition is fantastic. I know that will settle down, hopefully, but if that passion continues into round 4 and the semi-finals, we are in for some fantastic racing.
And what a result there by Dante Dillon. And that concludes the 3rd round of heats, and it's the final race that's going to be on the revised layout, so we're going to be reverting to the normal one. Those of you watching at home on the live stream, we're going to be off the air for a little bit, and then we'll be back for into the action. Give us about half an hour and then rejoin us for what's shaping up to be the best BRKC ever that there's been.